So you write a major heading. Just 1 minute. I'm just thinking that which color to use for Gandhi. Gandhi in South Africa. Gandhi in South Africa. Okay? So you can also mention it as the early career of Gandhi in South Africa. So I hope you all know that where he was born, what was his originally, what was his name. So these all stuff. Now listen, that his full name is Mohandas Karamchandra Gandhi, and Karamchand Gandhi, that's some part of the father's name. So father's name, patrilineal tradition. So now, you know that he was born in Porbandar, 1869, and he belonged to a family which you cannot say that they were quite well off, but they were good. That they were good and they had their own resources at their expense. In fact, his father was a munshi in the court of the local Raja. So they had good earning. And moreover, Gandhi's father's death happened, and after the death of his father, he went to study law in London. So he went to study law in London, and there were so many resistances when he was going to London. So his mother has so many reservations while he was going to London that she wanted to know, and she wanted a confirmation from her child that he must not be eating any non-vegetarian food in the London, because that's a non-vegetarian country. So there were many reservations, but Gandhi convinced the mother, and then moreover he went to London. He studied law over there in the London, and while being in England, he was a shy student. He was a very shy. Moreover, he was not fluent then, but he was witty. So he was not fluent, but he was witty. And over the period, he learned everything. Right from the fluency to the very good speech and everything. So a shy student was learning very fast. So he was learning very fast. He was not a topper, but he was a very good student in the London. Then after learning law, he came back to India. And one of his initial assignment that he got, it is not the first assignment, but one of the initial assignment he got in South Africa. So he got in South Africa. Again here, the family members did not wanted him to go, but somehow, some way he has to pursue his career. And in this career, he went to South Africa. So this particular departure from India to South Africa was to fight the case of one Indian, or you can say that Gujarati Memon Muslim merchant. His name was Dada Abdullah. So Dada Abdullah's legal problem, he went over there to sort out some of the legal problems of Dada Abdullah. But while being in South Africa, he observed so many things. First of all, he is seeing that the type of the people who were there in South Africa, particularly from the India. So you know that long back when Britishers started ruling in India, and moreover they created many plantations, not just in India, but they created plantations in so many countries. For example, you know, plantations in Sri Lanka, plantations in Fiji, plantations in South Africa. So these all places, they were carrying the indentured labor from the South Africa, South India, and then also area of Bihar, particularly if you look at this area of the Mauritius. So Mauritius, Bihari origin people are quite much there in the number in the Mauritius. When you go to the Fiji, so South Indian indentured labor, in fact, the president of the Fiji and the prime minister, all the authorities, they all of Indian origin. So that's how these indentured labor were sent to these all countries, and they became the natives of, not native, but the citizens of that country. So a good number of South Indians were sent as a indentured labor to South Africa. So Gandhi observed that good number of South Indian indentured labor Then moreover, not this labor, but their first generation born in South Africa. So the children who were born in South Africa only, the descent is Indian, but they are born in South Africa. And then there was another, you can say that as compared to this labor, a better class of Indians in South Africa, they were particularly Maiman Muslim merchant. So Maiman Muslim merchant, they were पैसे वाइज बोलोगे तो थोड़े अच्छे थे as compared to the laborers, but as per the rights and immunities and privileges, they were also quite discriminated. So these were the people who were there in the South Africa. Moreover, that Gandhi also observed that these all of them were heavily discriminated, and majority of them have accepted this discrimination as the way of life. So you know why they accepted it as a way of life? Because these Indians, they didn't knew how to challenge the exploitation that they were facing, how to challenge that exploitation they were facing, and the major hurdle to them was they didn't knew the language of the ruler. Then they were not at all knowing English. So they were not at all knowing English. If at all, they need to oppose, how come they will oppose? So Gandhi arrived in South Africa. And moreover, Gandhi arrived in South Africa. He observed this all kind of stuff. Moreover, he also went through that same sort of discrimination. So let's talk about that Gandhi's discrimination. So Gandhi has arrived in India, South Africa, and moreover, he considered himself to be a well-educated, and he was. He was a well-educated, and he also belonged to a good family in the Gujarat area. So he was not from a poor family. He was, you can say that, from the middle class, not upper middle class, but he was from the middle class. So then, and he studied in London, and in London also, in Britain also, he never felt discriminated, because altogether different scenario was there in the Europe. Then anybody goes to the Europe, there could be little bit of discrimination. You can say that little bit of favoritism, and favoritism could be there, but not as such discrimination was there in the Britain. So he felt that whatever that situation is there in the Britain, the same sort of situation would be there in South Africa also, because they are the rulers. So he bought a first class ticket in the train when he was going to, he was traveling from Pretoria. So when he was traveling from Pretoria, so he brought a first class ticket. What happened that he was sitting in his compartment, and then one white man, he complained about that how come a black man, an Indian, is traveling with me. So on the instructions of that white man, he was bundled out of that particular first class compartment, even after buying the tickets. And moreover, then after, he was forced to sit in the driver's box. And you know where? Not on the seat, but on the floor. So he was forced to sit on the driver's box. Then once he reached to the Johannesburg, and he started looking for the hotel rooms, and looking at his face, looking at his descent, looking at his color, all the hotels, they said, rooms are full, no vacancy. So rooms are full, no vacancy. So this is how he felt that really what is discrimination. For the first time he is facing the racial discrimination. And moreover, this is making Gandhi as a more resolute guy, the person who will guide this nation to in a different direction, and that direction purely based on the values of the non-violence and satyagraha. So please write few initial words about the Gandhi. We have much to write about him, and there are a few more things which we will discuss about him at this point of time. So I have written Gandhi in South Africa. You can write Mahatma Gandhi in South Africa if you want. But see, why I am not writing Mahatma Gandhi? Because the Mahatma title is still not given to him. He was still a Gandhi. Okay? So you write that Mohandas Karamchandra Gandhi. You write his full name. Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi studied law in England, and became a barrister. Studied law in England and became a barrister. Became a barrister. Became a barrister, full stop. In 1893, 1893, He landed at Durban. 1893, he landed at Durban to sort out legal problems of his client Dada Abdullah. To sort out legal problems of his client Dada Abdullah. Dada Abdullah. Then you mention he observed three types of Indians in South Africa. First one, please mention. So pehla, first category, indentured labor. First, indentured labor from South India. Indentured labor from South India. Second, their children who were born in South Africa. Their children who were born in South Africa. And third, Maiman Muslim merchants. Maiman Muslim merchants from Gujarat. So Maiman Muslim merchants from Gujarat. And Dada Abdullah was one of the Maiman Muslim merchant from Gujarat. So then further you mention, he observed that all of them were heavily discriminated. And they have accepted this discrimination as a way of life, comma, they have accepted this discrimination as a way of life since they had no idea how to challenge it. They have no idea how to challenge it. Then you write, Gandhi himself faced racial discrimination and humiliation. Gandhi himself faced racial discrimination and humiliation. So you write, what was this humiliation? Mention. He was bundled out first class apartment. He was bundled out of first class apartment while traveling from Pretoria he was forced to sit he was forced to sit in the driver's box. He was forced to sit in the driver's box. In the driver's box. And when he reached Johannesburg, none of the hotels gave him a room. None of the hotels gave him a room. Gave him a room. Then, so now listen what happened. So he's already there and he has faced that discrimination. So initially that he was there for that sorting out that legal problem of the Dada Abdullah, but moreover, he also established an organization. The name of the organization was the Natal Indian Congress. So he established Natal Indian Congress in 1894. What was the purpose of this organization to be established by Gandhi? To protest against the oppressive treatment which was done by the white people against the Indians. Then, so this organization he set up. Moreover, he also said to the Indians that he would be teaching them English. Then, so he would be teaching them English, learn English from him, and challenge the British authority. So, over the period that what happened that after some point of time, the legal problems were sorted out. Then, sab kuch theek ho gaya. So Gandhi decided to return back to India. Then, so he decided to return back to India, and moreover, when he was deciding, so the Indians, they persuaded him. They persuaded him to stay back in India, to stay back in South Africa, because at that point of time, there was one such policy which was affected by the British authority to disfranchise Indians. Then, so particularly in the Natal province of the South Africa. So in Natal province of the South Africa, the policy which was affected was disenfranchise Indians. So they wanted Gandhi to fight this case. Then, so they wanted Gandhi to fight this case, and they persuaded Gandhi to sort out their problems also. Gandhi decided that he would be staying back in South Africa to sort out this problem for some time, but that some time changed into 21 years. He stayed in South Africa. He was supposed to be there for the 2-3 years, but he went on to stay for 21 years. Then, so please mention that Gandhi founded Natal Indian Congress, Natal Indian Congress in 1894. In 1894, to protest against the oppressive treatment given to Indians by the white people. Full stop, then you write. He also offered to the Indians that he would be teaching them English. Then you write, he would be teaching them English. After full stop, on the issue of disenfranchise, disenfranchise passed by Natal province legislature. On the issue of disenfranchised Indians passed by Natal province legislature, comma, Gandhi was persuaded by Indians. Gandhi was persuaded by Indians to stay for few more months in South Africa. To stay for few more months in South Africa. In South Africa. In South Africa. And he went on to stay. And he went on to stay for next 21 years. He went on to stay for next 21 years. So this is what is about that initial phase of the Gandhi, that's how it has started. It's not over. Now his struggle will start. So his struggle will start, and then let's talk about that, the two phases of the Gandhi's struggle in South Africa. So the very first phase, we call it that moderate phase of the struggle, and the second phase would be the passive resistance phase or the Satyagraha phase of the struggle in South Africa. So let's look at these two phases of the Gandhi. So the first phase, moderate phase of struggle. 1894 to 1906. 1894 to 1906. Then, so this is the phase in which he has established Natal Indian Congress. But listen, what was the moderate strategy? So the moderate strategy, the one which was there in India, same Gandhi would be keeping it over here. जैसा कि moderate India में कर रहे थे, वैसा he is also doing over there in the South Africa. So Gandhi concentrated in this phase on petitioning, sending memorials to the South African legislature, and then the colonial secretary at London, and also the British Parliament. So he was sending those petitions and the memorials to the concerned officers. And that was the exact same method which was adopted by the moderates in India. Moreover, he was not only doing this thing because he was of the view that there would be a fair play. Though he was discriminated in the beginning, but he has a greater faith because what he has seen in his study years in the London, that he was not discriminated. And in fact, that there was a kind of a generous treatment to him in the London. Then, so he was of the view that those Britishers who are there in South Africa, some one-off case could be there, but not all of them are like the same. So he was always expecting a fair play even at this point of time. Moreover, if the officers in the South Africa, they are outrageous, so then he believed that people in the London, they are good people. So that's how he is sending. Moreover, again, in the expectation of the fair play, there was this local war in the South Africa. And that local war was the Boer War. So, Boer War, which was in 1899. Then, so in this 1899, in the expectation of the fair play, or in the expectation that something would be given back to the Indians in the South Africa, he created that ambulance corps of the Indians. Then, so ambulance corps of Indians. Then, and you know for what this ambulance corps of Indians is created? To assist British. to assist British, or basically not assisting them in fighting, but those who are injured, Britishers who are injured in the war, medical attention given to them. Okay? So he created this particular ambulance corps of Indians, and moreover, in return of this, rather than giving something to the Indians, some rights to the Indians in the South Africa, Britishers gave him the title of Kaisar-e Hind. Then, so they did not give him anything, but they gave him the title of the Kaisar-e Hind. Kaisar-e Hind. And moreover, Gandhi is going to renounce this Kaisar-e Hind at one point of time, but अभी नहीं बताऊंगा, जब होगा तभी लिखेंगे, ठीक है? Here only we will write that he was given this title of Kaisar-e Hind. Then, so Kaisar-e Hind. Moreover, in this phase only, Gandhi has established the Natal Indian Congress and one newspaper that he has started. The name of the newspaper was the Indian Opinion. Indian Opinion. Please write. In this phase, Gandhi concentrated on petitioning. Gandhi concentrated on petitioning and sending memorials. Petitioning and sending memorials to South African legislature. Memorials to South African legislature, comma, the colonial secretary at London, in London. London के ऊपर नहीं बैठा है, London के अंदर बैठा है ना. So some places I do also mistake on the articles, but you need to ask the questions in your own particular language, जिसमें भी comfortable हो. That ऊपर बैठा है या अंदर बैठा है, ठीक है? So colonial secretary in London and the British Parliament. And the British Parliament. Full stop. In expectation of fair play, he created an ambulance corps of Indians. He created an ambulance corps of Indians to assist injured Britishers in the Boer War 1899. To assist injured Britishers in the Boer War 1899. Then, some of you are quite active. You see that where my eyes are going, that I'm turning it on or turning it off, and then you're just waiting to drop a thing over there. None of them would be addressed. Then, so, सब कुछ यही जान लोगे मेरे दोस्त, तो विजन में पूरी तैयारी कहाँ करोगे? You mentioned, you're right. Then, due to his support to the British, he was given title of Kaisar-e Hind. This part you write. He was given the title of Kaisar-e Hind. Kaisar-e Hind. Then, full stop, then you write. He also set up Natal Indian Congress. And started a newspaper Indian Opinion. Started a newspaper, Indian Opinion. Then, so this is what is about the very first phase of the Gandhi. And now he realized nothing, no such thing is working in the South Africa, and now he will have to use his original weapons, and these are the weapons of the Satyagraha. So let's talk about the second phase, that is the passive resistance phase or the Satyagraha phase. So please mention passive resistance or Satyagraha phase. So passive resistance or Satyagraha phase. So listen, 1906 onwards, the Satyagraha phase started. Then, so Gandhi started this Satyagraha phase or the passive resistance. So now, what is this Satyagraha? Basically, the person who is committed to the truth. Then, but truth is not about that what you speak. Truth is all about that. It's also about the behavior. It's also about the law and so many other things. So, a person who is a Satyagrahi, okay? Not only he is sticking to the truth, but also he will not submit before anything. Listen this carefully. A Satyagrahi will not submit before anything which he considers as a wrong. Then, so which he considers as a wrong, and he will always remain truthful, and moreover, he will always be non-violent. So that is what is all about the Satyagraha. Then, so he will be fearless, he would be non-violent, and then he would be always seeking the speaking the truth, and moreover he will never bow down before a law or anything which he considers as the wrong. Then, or he will not bow down before the unjust law. So this is what was the Satyagraha meant at that point of time. And moreover, Gandhi is going to jot down the problems of that time, and he will try to address these all problems. Moreover, not only he is trying to address, but many times he will be going to jail at this point of time. So he will be going to jail at this point of time in this moderate phase, passive resistance phase of the struggle. So please write a word about the Satyagrahi. So a Satyagrahi was not to submit. A Satyagrahi was not to submit to what? To what he considered as wrong. To what he considered as wrong. But he was to remain truthful. But he was to remain truthful, non-violent. He was to remain truthful, non-violent, fearless. He was to remain truthful, non-violent, fearless, and he will not submit before, any unjust law. He will not submit before any unjust law. Then, so this is one. Then listen, that what were the things at this point of time, or what were the main issues of that point of time. So one of the issue that all the Indians who were there at this point of time, they needed to carry their certificates of registration. They needed to carry all the time, they needed to carry their certificates of registration ties in their neck. Then, so this is discriminatory. Now in the modern world, you can see that this is also a kind of a slavery, that you are going with a tag that see that I am an Indian, I am living in the South Africa, so I am a slave of the Britishers. In the modern world, you'd see the tag that abhi to pandemic mein nahi hai, but you see the tag of that a company, multinational company, like that any company you consider, I am not naming. So multinational company, and also wearing their t-shirt. Without their t-shirt, you cannot do anything. Then, for example, there are some academies which people go for learning purpose. Then they choose the courses from that academies, those academies. And these are the fun academies, I hope you know. And the teachers would all the time, they would be wearing they would be wearing the t-shirts, and there would be fun element written over there that it is a fun academy. So I hope you know. And how monotonous is this? See, one day somebody asked me that why don't you go to, why that if you are given a big chunk of that money and then to join that the academies where there is so much of fun. So I said that it's only for the name it is fun. Daily you are wearing the same t-shirt, black color t-shirt with that same name tagged. It is highly monotonous for me, and for the sake of that cert, I will never join such kind of organization in my life. I want to change my clothes every day, not the same stuff I want to wear all the time. So these are the fun academies, you know that, and then you are representing that you are the loyal employee of that particular company. To hell with that. Then, so we are a free personalities, we are the free people, and we must not be bound by any such that slavery. So I was comparing, I hope that for some of you it was not funny, but bear with it. So now get back to this. So they needed to carry their certificates all the time. Then, and moreover, at this point of time, to address this issue, Gandhi ji created Passive Resistance Association. Then, so Passive Resistance Association, and at this time, Gandhi ji was sent to the jail. Then, and with large number of his followers, they were sent to the jail at this point of time. So that is the first issue, and he created Passive Resistance Society. Now, so another law, it was passed in the 1908 and this was introduced to restrict the movement of Indians. Then, so this was introduced to restrict the movement of Indians, just like the one which happened in the pandemic. Yeah, unfortunate था कि movement सबका restrict हो गया. Many people wanted to go to the malls, but they were limited to their houses. So now, Indians living in one province of the South Africa, they cannot move to the next province of the South Africa. Okay? So if the Indian is there in the Natal, he cannot go to Transvaal. So to break this law, Gandhi ji said that he urged large number of Indians to break the law, and then they entered into the Transvaal province from the Natal province. Again, large number of Indians were arrested by the Britishers, including Gandhi. Then another thing, that marriages which were not conducted according to the Christian methods, they were to be invalidated. So ek tarah se kya ho gaya, that this last one, that even if you are a Hindu, even if you are a Muslim, even if you are a Buddhist, but your marriage must happen according to the Christian law, the direct meaning is that you convert to Christianity. Otherwise, your religion or your marriage would not be recognized. So that is what was the problem. And in this regard, in this all, Gandhi has created one ashram. The question I'm leaving to you, okay? Question I'm leaving to you. So, can you tell me the name of the ashram which Gandhi created? For this, please don't do Google. कल मैंने बहुत कुछ बोला था इस पे. आता हो तो भेजो, नहीं आता हो तो छोड़ दो. अच्छा रहेगा. So, can you tell me that what is that particular name of that ashram which Gandhi created? उससे related और भी question पूछूंगा. पहले इसका जवाब दो, ठीक है? So this response screen is all yours. So ठीक है वैभव, you send it to me this Nazmo. So अच्छा रहेगा, ठीक है? So आंसर्स मैं पढ़ रहा हूं. Tolstoy, yes, you guys have read little bit. तो उसी से पढ़ लो ना. अच्छा है तो उधर में ही पढ़ लो. विजन आने की क्या जरूरत थी? साबरमती आश्रम इन साउथ अफ्रीका. ओ माय गॉड, ये तो बवाल कट गया. ठीक है, साबरमती आश्रम इन साउथ अफ्रीका. टॉल्स्टॉय, वेरी गुड, वेरी गुड. कनिका, यू आर ऑल्सो सेइंग साबरमती आश्रम. साबरमती आश्रम साबरमती के किनारे था, साउथ अफ्रीका में थोड़ी था. सो so many answers. Now, out of this so many answers, the one which is correct, I didn't expected that the right answer will come, but it was the phoenix form. Phoenix form or phoenix ashram. Okay? So phoenix form or phoenix ashram. Okay? This is what was created. So this is the first form which Gandhi created. And now the next question I'm bombarding to you. Okay? So Vinita, you have sent the right answer. I hope you have studied this one. And Subham Saxena, you studied from that guy of the Fun Academy. Answer to nahi diya tumne? Then, so now listen, the next question, what inspired Gandhi? This has been a question also. So what inspired Gandhi to set up the phoenix form? What inspired Gandhi to set up phoenix form? Okay? So, any idea? Anyone? I'm expecting that since the person who has sent the right answer, Vinita, you can send the right answer for this also. So what inspired Gandhi to set up phoenix form? And then I will tell you the purpose of the phoenix form. वो बाद में, ठीक है? And एक और question पूछूंगा उसके बाद. After that. So there are 3 questions. सिर्फ question का जवाब देना और कुछ मत लिखना तुम लोग, ठीक है? So any idea? Don't know भी लिख सकते हो. You guys can write don't know. I don't know. मुझे नहीं आता. I think किसी को नहीं आता. ठीक है? To make place for Indians for movement. Subham Kumar Sharma. अच्छा. This Subham is different from that Subham. There are many Subham in this class. ठीक है? So his German friend, I guess. Don't know वाला सही है. So Subham, you have tried your best, but that's not the right answer. इसीलिए तो आए थे. अच्छा, okay, don't know. To safeguard, there was a pandemic. ऐसा कौन सा pandemic था भैया? मुझे तो नहीं पता है. To inculcate Indian values to the children in South Africa. Forgot autobiography बहुत पहले पढ़ी थी. किसकी autobiography? बहुत पहले पढ़ी थी. Okay. So I think the person who has said this part. So now, no, Vinita. There was a book which Gandhi read at that point of time. Listen this carefully. There was a book which Gandhi read at this point of time, and that's a highly inspiring book. Yes, very good, Assis. That's the John Ruskin's book, Unto This Last. So Gandhi read this, Unto This Last. आप लोग भी पढ़ना, ठीक है? So this was the John Ruskin's book, and Gandhi was inspired by this John Ruskin's book, Unto This Last, and this book inspired him to create the Phoenix Form. So this book inspired Gandhi to create Phoenix Form, and moreover, this is the place where Gandhi was training his cadres. So this is the place where Gandhi was training his cadres. Okay? So he was training his cadres, and moreover, the question which I will ask, the next question, the third and the last question which I'm asking, can you tell me the birthplace of the Satyagraha? Can you tell me the birthplace of Satyagraha? Unto This Last. Okay? So see that these all things I have not taught in the previous batches. I am adding in your batch. Okay? In form of the questions. So this is how the value addition can be done in the classes. So please mention that if you get a question in the prelims examination, that what was the birthplace of Satyagraha forwarded by Gandhi. So as Prashant has mentioned, South Africa. Divyansu also mentioned South Africa. And Vaibhav, I'm waiting for that nazm. भेज देना मुझे या class coordination में भेज देना. I would just read. ठीक है? So South Africa, South Africa. You all are right. It is South Africa. Then, but yes, Pal, it is Phoenix form. Question में South Africa और India नहीं देगा क्योंकि सब लोग correct कर लेंगे. If I'm asking this question at this place, so this is the birthplace of the Satyagraha. So Phoenix form is the birthplace of the Satyagraha. ये याद रखना. अरे चंपारण मत जाओ, वो बाद में आएगा. गांधी जी ने पहले वहां पे अपने वेपन्स साफ कर लिए थे, उसके बाद देन इंडिया में आए थे. देन सो चंपारण तो बाद में होगा. देन so Phoenix form is the place where Gandhi sharpened his tools of the Satyagraha. So please mention few words about. First of all, I just forgot that what was the last line. I think that last line क्या लिखा था? Please tell me that what was the last line you have written. So anyone from this class, please. सब लोग मत लिखना, मैं नाम बोल देता हूं. So Sajid, Muhammad Sajid, please tell me that what is the last thing I mentioned. What is the last thing that I dictated, and then accordingly I'll dictate the next part. Not to submit before unjust law. Thank you, Kritika. हो गया, ठीक है? So not to submit before any unjust law. Then you write that at this point of time, the major issues were, and number one, you write, major issues were, number one, please mention. First one, Indians needed to carry their certificates of registration. Indians needed to carry their certificates of registration all the time. Full stop. Then you write, on this issue, after full stop, you mention on this issue, Gandhi created passive resistance association. यहाँ पे लिख लो, passive resistance association. On this issue, Gandhi created passive resistance association. Then, and instructed his followers to not pay heed to British instruction. Meaning that don't carry your certificates. ठीक है? देखते हैं क्या होता है. नहीं carry करेंगे. So I will share one such thing, and I think that today's class, आज एक काम करते हैं. I will not give you break if you guys are happy with that. Then, and I will leave you little early. ठीक है? थोड़ा पहले छोड़ दूंगा. But let's continue with do it in continuation. So I hope you guys are also okay with that. ठीक है? So I will share one instance with one of the class. I remember very well in 2019 in one class, I was in same kind of energy, and then I was saying that I would not have carried that certificate of registration. Then, so next day what happened, that one guy was so, and that was the time when the offline classes were going on. So there was one student, and he was quite nice. So he was so charged up with that particular class that next day, when I came into the class, so there was a confrontation which was going on, and that confrontation was between that boy and that the office boys who are there from the vision. So the duty of that office boys were that they need to check the identity card of the students so that they can enter into the classroom. So then the confrontation was this, that from today onwards I would not be carrying any identity card. Then and then he was not allowed to sit in the class. So then I intervened and I just said to the office boys कि आज allow कर दो, ठीक है? And then I said to him, it is not about carrying, यहाँ बताने के लिए कि यहाँ पढ़ते हो पैसे दिए हैं. So then next day onwards he started to bring it, but on that day he was so charged up कि अब से मैं carry नहीं करूँगा किसी का भी identity card. So that was fun. Then next you write, second one. Please write. So please write. A new legislation in 1908, a new legislation in 1908 was introduced to restrict the movement of Indians, full stop, to restrict the movement of Indians, to defy this law, a large number of Indians, crossed Natal province, N-A-T-A-L, crossed Natal province and entered into Transvaal province. So large number of Indians crossed Natal province and entered into Transvaal province. Now listen. So when they are defying the law, so obviously they will be jailed. So at this point of time, large number of Indians, near about 500 to 600 Indians, they were jailed in one such jail. So after, when they always stuffed in a one single jail, so they all started to call that this is not a jail, this is King Edward's Hotel. So this is King Edward's Hotel, and they celebrated that now we are in the King Edward's Hotel. So that was the scenario at that point of time. Then next one you write, we are not writing this King Edward Hotel, but I just said. Next you write, third one, marriages not conducted according to the Christian methods, or Christian rites, right, R-I-T-E-S, according to the Christian rites, were to be invalidated. Then you write, Gandhi fought for these all issues. Then you write, you change paragraph, and you must write about the Phoenix form. That is one of the most important thing that he has done. And there would be the second important also, which I will tell you. Then, so please mention that he was inspired from John Ruskin's book. R-U-S-K-I-N''S. So John Ruskin's book, Unto this last. And he set up Phoenix form. Then उसके बाद लिखो after Phoenix form क्या इसमें और बचा है. So you write that what was the purpose of the Phoenix form. So mention that this place was meant for training his cadre. This place was meant for training his cadre on non-violence and satyagraha. Non-violence and satyagraha. Moreover, Phoenix Farm is considered as the birthplace of satyagraha. Phoenix Farm is considered as the birthplace of satyagraha. Then the next farm that he created, Phoenix Farm for training cadres. Then another farm he created, and this I think most of you have written. So that was right. Then that is also the farm that he created. And in fact, that the Tolstoy farm which we are going to discuss, that is the precursor to the Sabarmati. Okay? So Tolstoy would be the precursor to the Sabarmati. Okay? So let's write, or listen first. So with the help of his German friend Kallenbach, Gandhi he established Tolstoy farm. And Gandhi was also inspired from Leo Tolstoy. So Gandhi was also quite much inspired from Leo Tolstoy, and that's how he created Tolstoy farm. And the purpose of this farm was little different. It was meant for housing satyagrahi and give them an alternate way of living. So this was meant for the housing satyagrahis and give them the alternate way of living. Okay? So you write that with the help of his German friend, Kallenbach, he created, you can see the spelling here, Kallenbach, he created Tolstoy farm. To house satyagrahi. And give them a way. To house satyagrahis and give them a way to sustain themselves. Then you write to sustain themselves. After full stop. This farm was precursor to the Gandhian ashrams. In India. Then, so I'll write a question. on the board, and you guys need to answer that question. So, let me write the question. पूरा question लिख लेने दो. So, which of the following statement is correct in regard to Gandhi's stay in South Africa? So, let me write it 1, 2 or A, B, C लिखते हैं, ठीक है? So, A, that Gandhi created ambulance corps of Indians in Zulu War. Gandhi stayed in South Africa 21 years uninterrupted. C. Gandhi denounced Kaisar-e Hind title. Kaisar-e Hind title in 1919. The title was given to him in South Africa, so that's why I'm writing this one. And D, that Gandhi created ambulance corps of Indians in Second Boer War. Then, so let's shorten it little bit so that the question would be visible, and I'll give you the options, so the combinations. So which all is correct? So so number one. So the correct ones, I'm marking it as A, B, C. Okay? Then 2, B, C, D. Okay? And 3, A, C, D. And 4, all. अरे मेरा क्वेश्चन पूरा किए बिना सारे आंसर्स आ गए. You guys have started writing. I have not written the full question and you started writing. ये कहते हैं तुक्काफिकेशन. And how many answers? बाप रे. D, 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 D. So there is only one change. There is no DC. Send your answers in 1, 2, 3, 4. A, B, C, D मत ले भेजो. ठीक है. Now the answers I will count from that. The people who have sent in the numbers. 2, 2, 2. Siddharth, why you feel that none of them is correct? ऐसा कौन सा लिख दिया है? Okay. Oh my God. सब बहुत ध्यान से पढ़ रहे हो. All of you are reading it very right, and then this is how you guys are quite attentive. Then, so I have thought that I would be asking questions to you. Many times you guys ask any type of questions to me, ठीक है? But अब से मैं तुम लोगों से बहुत सारे सवाल पूछूंगा. अरे विजय, इतना अलग क्यों हो? Why you are so different? Vijay, Neelam, Vijay, again, Vijay and Neelam, why you are different? Now, the answer is, so you guys are saying it, that 2 and all. That's how most of you have come to that conclusion. So most of you have come to conclusion is all and 2. And what is 2? B, C, D. The answer is A, C, D. The answer is 3. So answer is 3. Now, Gandhi also created, this is what I have not mentioned. देखो बहुत सारे ways होते हैं. It's not only the class. Listen this carefully why I created this question. It's not only the class notes from where you get so much of information. You are giving the mini test. You are also participating in the objective test. You are also, there is a complete course in the vision. There is a mini test, there is a objective course test, there is a test series, and you need to use services of these all, and that's how you don't need to refer to anything outside which is there in the market. When you are using all the services available to you in the vision. So not all the information you can have in the classroom, but yes, all the information definitely you will be having when you have used all the services of the vision. Then, so listen, that I cannot point all the time, that ki Zulu war mein bhi participate kiya. In fact, Gandhi also created ambulance corps in Zulu war. This was also the local war in South Africa. And here he created ambulance corps of Indians to assist the inflicted, to assist the injured Britishers. So this is correct. Then Gandhi denounced Kasare in the title. I didn't mention this one. He denounced it after the Jallianwala Bagh massacre. To chhod diya. And then Gandhi created ambulance corps. So when you were writing, so at that point of time, I didn't mention Second Boer War, but it was actually Second Boer War in 1899 when Gandhi created it. So this is also correct. But this is not correct. Gandhi did not live in South Africa uninterrupted. It was interrupted. He came to India. ये कहानी सुनानी थी मुझे. 1896 he came back to India, and obviously this is the time when he would be, and he was a bit emotional for his wife then. So emotional for his wife, and then at this point of time, the wife is going back with the Gandhi, and moreover, not just the wife, but also a large number of 800 Indians, Gandhi supporters, they are going from India to South Africa to further train these people. Then, so for this purpose, Gandhi has come to India in 1896. And 1896 ke baad, if I would have written from 1896, it was uninterrupted stay, so that would have been correct. Done? I hope you understood. Okay? So, let's write. अरे यार थोड़ा बहुत चलता है, ठीक है, this point of time. See that some of you are very much into the semantics rather than understanding that what has been asked. ठीक है? So later, let's, which of the following statement is correct regarding to Gandhi? Let's cut this, stay in South Africa. हो गया ना question? So what is correct regarding to Gandhi? This is what you wanted? Your semantics is over. Then, so now listen. Finally, what happened? So after these all kind of stuff in the South Africa, finally there was a series of negotiation, and this negotiation involved Viceroy Hardinge, then at that point of time, and C.F. Andrews and General Smart. So involving these all people, the major demands of Gandhi, they were conceded, meaning that whatever he wanted, most of the things were fulfilled. So most of the things were fulfilled, and finally Gandhi started back his journey back to India. He came somewhere in July, he started in July 1914, and he came back to India. Then, so he came back to India. Moreover, one more aspect, that these all conversation, negotiation, it happened because after the visit of the Gopal Krishna Gokhale into the South Africa, Gandhi invited him to the South Africa in 1912, and Gopal Krishna Gokhale went over there. Moreover, Gopal Krishna Gokhale went over there, and Gandhi started to consider him as his guru. And while Gandhi was doing these all things in the South Africa, there were many Indian industrialists. I will not quote, I will not dictate, but this is what is the information, that many Indian industrialists helped him. For example, that the Tata family sent him 25,000 rupees at one point of time to continue his struggle. So these all are the some stuff you will not find at all the places, but this is what is the story all about. And please write the last paragraph about the Gandhi. So write, finally, through a series of negotiation, involving Viceroy Hardinge, involving Viceroy Hardinge, C.F. Andrews. So you can write these all names. Hardinge, C.F. Andrews, and General Smart. So through a series of negotiations involving Viceroy Hardinge, C.F. Andrews, and General Smart, the agreement was reached. And major demands of Gandhi was conceded. Major demands of Gandhi was conceded. So you can say that he was successful at this point of time in South Africa. Moreover, the success of the Gandhi has brought more laurels to the Gandhi. He is returning back to India. He is seen from a different lens. He is seen from the different angle that there was somebody who made the Britishers kneel before him and not resorting to the violence, but by the simple methods. But the very difficult, to say it is simple, but the very difficult to say the truth, to follow the non-violence, and to go with the Satyagraha. Okay? So this is what was the Gandhi's initial tenure in South Africa. We will talk about him at the time of after completing Home Rule movement and the Gandhian phase in India. So we will talk about him in the third phase, and third phase would be the start of the Gandhian also, and third phase is also related to the Home Rule movement. Okay? So now we still have a little bit of time, so listen. And this Zulu war thing which I mentioned to you, that war was in 1906. 1899 was the Boer War, second Boer War, and if you want to write Zulu War, so that was in 1906, Zulu War. Kahin pe likh lena side mein. So now we are going to start with the revolutionary nationalism. Because some books they have mentioned it as a revolutionary terrorism, okay? But I would not use the word revolutionary terrorism. We would be using or revolutionary nationalism. So there are many phases of the revolutionary nationalism. The three phases we are going to read in our history part. That is the phase 1, 2, and 3. And phase 1 will also include the pre-phase. Okay? So pre-phase and phase 1 combined, and then phase 2, and then also phase 3. So please mention revolutionary nationalism. So the next big chapter, yes, revolutionary nationalism. So we are going according to the timeline that what has happened. Okay? Zulu war year was 1906. Okay? 1906. So now there are three phases. So here I am writing pre plus phase 1. So pre plus phase 1, it seems like that pre-exam I have written. So pre is basically around 1876. Okay? There are instances of, or let me write it very clearly. Ek baar ruk jao. Let me mention it in a different color. So let me complete this part. Phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Okay? As if that I am creating the different phases of the DLF in Gurgaon. Then, so the pre-1 was, pre कब था? अक्टूबर में. अभी अक्टूबर में है. So pre was 1876 to 97. Why I am doing this mistake? So 1876 to 1897. Okay? So this is pre-phase, and phase 1 1905 to 1915. This is phase 1. And phase 2, 1924 to 1935. Okay? And phase 3, 1942 to 1947. So these are the three phases of the revolutionary nationalism. Now it is clearly visible. Then, so please write these all phases. So revolutionary nationalism. So now, I disabled the responses screen, but I need to ask one question. ठीक है? एक last question आज की class का, and let me ask. I'm enabling it. Reply to the question only. So the question is, who is considered as the father of Indian armed rebellion? The question is, who is considered as the father of Indian armed rebellion? Please give me answer. Who is considered as the father of Indian armed rebellion? See, I know about my subject. मैं पूरे सिलेबस और पूरे कोर्स के बारे में कुछ नहीं बोल सकता, ठीक है? मेरे सवाल का जवाब दो, मुझसे सवाल मत पूछो, ठीक है? So now answers have started to come. Soumya has said Aurobindo. Kanika also saying Aurobindo. Puspendra, Bal Gangadhar Tilak. Aditya has said Birsa Munda. Subham, Chandrasekhar, and then Subhash Chandra Bose, Bhagat Singh. Don't know. बहुत अच्छा आंसर है. मतलब मैंने बोला कि आई वुड बी हैप्पी विद द डोंट नो, तो तुम लोग डोंट नो ही हमेशा भेजोगे. अपने एंड पे कुछ पढ़ोगे नहीं तुम लोग. शिवांगी, देन बोस बोस बोस, भगत भगत भगत, विवेक. ओके, बहुत तेजी से मैं देख रहा हूं, जितनी तेजी से आंसर्स नहीं आ रहे हैं. सचिंद्र नाथ सान्याल. हाँ, मत पढ़ो साजिद, बिल्कुल मत पढ़ो. नॉट एट ऑल रिक्वायर्ड. एवरी क्लास यू राइट डोंट नो. सो नाउ, सो देर आर टू राइट आंसर्स. अगर जो ये लोग होते, आजाद, भगत, सुभाष चंद्र बोस, तो मैं सवाल नहीं पूछता. If they would have been the answer, I would not have been asked this question. And the answer is, Shivangi and Vivek, you have sent the right answer. Vasudev Balwant Phadke. Okay? So Vasudev Balwant Phadke, he is considered as the father of the Indian armed rebellion. Then, and I will talk about him only. So the pre-phase. So pre-phase, and in pre-phase, mention Vasudev Balwant Phadke. Vasudev Balwant Phadke. So he is the one who is considered as the father of the Indian armed rebellion. Then, so father of the Indian armed rebellion. So now listen, that what he did in 1876, after which he started to be called as the father of the Indian armed rebellion. Listen this carefully. So he had a great compassion for the farming community and for the local people. So he was from Maharashtra, and he has this great compassion for the suffering of the people. And moreover, in 1876 and 77, what he was going through, that what his community and then his people were going through, the systemic exploitation by the Britishers. So systemic exploitation by the Britishers, what he did, that he created a revolutionary group of Ramosi. And this Ramosi I have taught you in that so-called class of the tribal and peasant uprising. Or उसमें somebody did had a kind of reservation कि नहीं हमको कुछ अलग चाहिए. So Now, let's get back to this one. So, Ramosi uprising. So, he created a group of revolutionary of Ramosi. Moreover, he also he also collected the people from the other communities, and these communities were Koli, they were Bhil, they were Mahar, they were Mang and Dhangar. Then, so these all communities I'll be mentioning. So, Koli, Bhil, Mahar, and then Dhangar and Mang. So these all communities, they supported Vasudev Balwant Phadke. Then, so Vasudev Balwant Phadke, and what he started. So 1876 onwards, he started an armed struggle against the British authority. And regularly, with the group of these all people, he raided the company factory, company treasury, and looted the money to use it for the armed struggle. Moreover, that looted this, so he was quite successful in this, and there came an instance somewhere in 1877 only, when for few days, virtually, that entire administration of city of Pune was in the hands of Vasudev Balwant Phadke. So that he used the opportunity of this particular a little bit casual attitude of the officers in the Pune, and then he captured the city of Pune for a few days. But again, when the British troops came, so then he escaped from that, he fled from that place. He knew that to continue the armed struggle, he need to survive. So he need to survive. Moreover, what he did, that he was such a courageous person that some of the British officials, which he didn't like, and which not only he didn't like, but those who were who were main reasons of the discrimination. So he raised a bounty on their head. Then and he raised a bounty on their head, and he said that if somebody brings these British officers, so he will be awarding them. So now from here onwards, British authority, they started the search of the Vasudev Balwant Phadke, and it's a very the kind of a normal story in the Indian scenario, that there was a traitor. Always there was a traitor in the Indian scenario, and that traitor informed to the Britishers. So he was going to Pandharpur. It's a very famous place in the Maharashtra. So he was going to Pandharpur, and on his way to Pandharpur, he was arrested by the Britishers. So even after the arrest, one such place, he escaped from the arrest. So he escaped from the arrest, and moreover, a case was filed against him. So you know that who was the lieutenant of this particular person, Vasudev Balwant Phadke, in this case, G.V. Joshi, whose name we have written earlier in the Economic Critique of Colonialism. His original name, full name, was Ganesh Vasudev Joshi. So he was the one who was fighting the case of the Vasudev Balwant Phadke. And moreover, when the case was going on, Britishers were not ready for it, so he went on to a hunger strike. And finally, he died because of this hunger strike in 1883. So he did not die because of the British bullet and British execution, but he died because of the hunger strike. So, likh lo kuch thodi bahut baat. So, you write that around 1876 and 77, Vasudev Balwant Phadke created a revolutionary group of Ramosi. A revolutionary group of Ramosi. Then you write, he was supported by Bhil, Mahar, Mang, and Dhangar community. He was supported by Koli also. So one more, Koli, Bhil, Mang, Mahar, and Dhangar community. Then you write, he started an armed struggle he started an armed struggle against the Britishers. He started an armed struggle against the Britishers. Then, and regularly raided British factories or British treasury, you can say. Regularly raided rich and British people. Rich be, not just the British, but rich people. Rich and British treasury. Then you mention rich and British treasury. In 1877, for few days, Pune city was in his complete control. Was in his complete control. Full stop. Then you write, he is often referred as father of Indian armed rebellion. Father of Indian armed rebellion. Father of Indian armed rebellion. So that's the first in the preface, and the second in the preface, Chapekar brothers. Chapekar brothers. Then, so second in the preface is the Chapekar brothers. 1897. Then, so last question. Chapekar brothers, let me tell you that what were the things which led to they resorting to the revolutionary nationalism. So first of all, that in 1897, that Chapekar brothers, they killed the British officers, okay, and name of the British officer, Walter Charles Rand, and then the lieutenant asked. So there are two officers, W.C. Rand and Lieutenant Arst. Then, so these two were assassinated by the Chapekar brothers. What was the reason? The reason was that Pune city was going through the bubonic plague. And in this bubonic plague, there was hell lot of atrocities done by these two officers, W.C. Rand and then Lieutenant Arst. So what they were doing, that they were not even informing the people at any time, even in the midnight. They were barging into the houses of the people and just identifying that who is suffering from the bubonic plague, and then after who is suffering from the bubonic plague, and then they were segregating the people from the family, then killing also some of the people who are suffering from that severe bout of the bubonic plague. Moreover, they were digging the houses, that these are the houses where the bacteria of the bubonic plague is there, bacillus bacteria. And then moreover, so much of discrimination, so much of atrocity was there at this point of time, that people were more frightened with the British treatment rather than the disease. And finally, enough was enough. The brothers, Chapekar brothers, they killed, and they successfully killed these two, W.C. Rand and Lieutenant Arst. Now, the question is, kitne brother the? Don't Google. The question is, how many brothers were there? And if at all, their names. Please write. In 1897, Chapekar brothers, good. Chapekar brothers assassinated assassinated the British officers, you write W.C. Rand and Lieutenant Ast, these name. So now, as I can see, oh, Subham, Kumar, Sharma. So, Google कर लिया, मानोगे नहीं तुम आखिर, ठीक है? I don't expect people to remember these all names. Without doing the Google, you cannot send the name. If this would have been the case, अरे कुछ तो integrity maintain करो, ठीक है? All the people who have sent two, they are not right. And if I'm asking this question in this way, definitely it will be more than two. Brothers हैं तो दो होंगे ही, और दो से ज्यादा होंगे अगर जो मैंने सवाल पूछा है. So that's three. I only expected that you guys will be sending the that particular things. But yes, this is also giving me a little bit of insight that who does the Google. And really, देखो इतना कम इंटेलिजेंट मत समझना मेरे को, नहीं तो यहाँ पे बैठा नहीं होता मैं. So now these three brothers were Damodar Hari Chapekar, then Vasudev Hari Chapekar and Balakrishna Hari Chapekar. Three brothers. Then so that's what is there. And please write. So you write. Then you write. They wanted to take the revenge of. They wanted to take the revenge of atrocity exacted on people, atrocities exacted on people during the bout of bubonic plague in Pune. During the bout of bubonic plague in Pune. Then bubonic plague in Pune. Then next you write, and this particular killing of these two British officers, it can be termed as the first example of the political assassination in India. So you write that it can be termed as first example of political assassination. First example of political assassination. Then and brothers के नाम लिख लो, ठीक है? Next time तुम्हें Google नहीं करना पड़ेगा. So you write, these brothers were Damodar Hari Chapekar, ऐड कर लेना सब में, Vasudev Hari Chapekar and Balakrishna Hari Chapekar. Balakrishna Hari Chapekar. Then atrocity. Atrocity nahi, atrocity. Sometimes it seems like that we are going to the Delhi Aerocity. So that's what is about that. This first phase of the that pre-phase of the that revolutionary nationalism. ठीक है? So one last thing we must write. ठीक है? उसके बाद दिन छोड़ देंगे. So reasons for the rise of the revolutionary nationalism, and then we will enter into the phase 1 in the next week. ठीक है? So एक last heading लिख लो, that reasons for the rise of revolutionary nationalism. Reasons for the rise of and particularly we are talking about that the period of this particular 1905. ठीक है? So ये 1905 onwards के लिए है reason. बाकी के रीजन तो वहीं लिख लिए थे. ठीक है? So for the revolutionary nationalism. Then, so first of all, this is very clear. I'm not going to say that, give you something which you don't know. In fact, you all know. It's only need to be told you once. So the young leaders, the young people of India, they were highly disaffected with the methods of the moderates. Okay? Disaffected bhi chhod do, highly disappointed with the methods of the moderates and what they did. Then, and moreover, repression of the extremist leaders like the Tilak, and who was the ideal of the young people, they did not tolerate it. And the Swadesi movement was cut to half after the arrest of the Tilak and Lajpat Rai and all the other people. Okay? Then another thing obviously would be the suppressive policies of the government, which people are seeing. And moreover, there were many inspirations from the outside India. So inspiration from the revolutionary activities outside India. For example, at this point of time, Japan defeated imperialist Russia. A tiny Japan, this much Russia was defeated. So please write, quickly likho. Disappointment among the youth. Disappointment among youth from the working pattern. Disappointment among the youth from the working pattern of the moderates. From the working pattern of the moderates. Working pattern of the moderates. Second, then you write, repression of the extremist leaders like Tilak, Lajpat Rai, etc., etc., and Swadesi movement becoming leaderless, and Swadesi movement becoming leaderless. Then next you write, suppressive policies of the government. Suppressive policies of the government. Suppressive policies of the government. And then the next one you write, inspiration from the revolutionary activities. Inspiration from the revolutionary activities outside India. Outside India. For example, outside India, for example, Japan defeated imperialist Russia. Japan defeated imperialist Russia. Okay? So Japan defeated imperialist Russia. So this is what is all about the reason. So phase one, we have talked about the reasons for the rise of the revolutionary nationalism. So now we are going to look at the organizations and the important personalities associated in this particular phase. So the first organization that we need to mention or write is the Anusilan Samiti. Anusilan Samiti. Now, if you go into the literal meaning of the Anusilan Samiti, so it's a bodybuilding society. That was the Bengali meaning of this word, that bodybuilding society. And in fact, this society, it started to get formed somewhere around 1902 by the gym-going youth of India. That's the gym-going youth of India. And there's a big difference that the gym-going youth of India, nowadays, they are altogether on a different territory. Yes, there are some sports personality also, but they were revolutionaries. So this gym-going youth of India, they were revolutionaries. So this Anusilan Samiti started to come up by 1902, and by 1905 when Swadesi movement started. So when Swadesi movement started, so what happened that at that point of time, it was fully formalized at the three places. And moreover, don't instruct me. ठीक है, मुझे जैसे कराना होगा, I will do that. So yes, so now listen. So there were three branches. three branches of the Anushilhan Samiti which were created. One was Calcutta, another was Dhaka, and then was Midnapur. So these were led by some personalities. We'll be writing these all personalities, and moreover, then we will talk about that what were the important activities and some incidents related to the Anushilhan Samiti. So you write this name, and then you write that there were three branches of Anushilhan Samiti. There were three branches of Anushilhan Samiti. Very first one, you write Calcutta. Calcutta. Then there was Dhaka. And the third branch was Midnapur. So there were three branches of Anushilhan Samiti. First was Calcutta. Second was this Dhaka. And third is the Midnapur. Then important leaders of these branches. So the Calcutta one, there were two people, Barindra Dutt and Bhupendra Dutt. Bhupendra Dutt. Then Dhaka was led by Pulin Bihari Das. Pulin Bihari Das. And Midnapur was led by Gyanendra Nath Basu. So Barindra Dutt, Bhupendra Dutt, and Dhaka, Pulin Bihari Das, and then Gyanendra Nath Basu in Midnapur. So listen. So these are the three important branches of the Anushilhan Samiti, and moreover, they were very quite famous for the two activities. So very first one, that this organization was involved in the killing, in the assassination of the unpopular British officials, then informers and traitors also. So informers and traitors also, because they are also the one who are responsible for the that mayhem which is going in the country. Then so they were doing this stuff, and the second activity was they were conducting Swadeshi Dakaitis. So it's a term, Swadeshi Dakaiti, Dakaiti ko bhi Swadeshi bana diya. So Swadeshi Dakaiti. So what was the purpose of this Swadeshi Dakaiti? In fact, to loot the rich people and the people who are exploitative, particularly the British, and moreover, whatever amount that has been looted, from that they would be purchasing arms then to continue their struggle. So they would be purchasing arms to continue their struggle. Moreover, there was one very popular magazine of this particular organization, and the name of this magazine was Yugantar. So Yugantar was edited by the brother of Aurobindo. Then Yugantar was edited by brother of Aurobindo. His name was Barindra Ghosh. So please don't get confused. Here he's a different person, Barindra Dutt, Bhupendra Dutt, and editor of the Yugantar Patrika was Barindra Ghosh, who was brother of the Aurobindo. So please write few words about these people. They were known for two activities. They were known for two activities. Then further you write two activities, that is assassination of oppressive British officers, assassination of oppressive British officers, informers and traitors, informers and traitors. Then after that, please mention after that you write informers and traitors. They also conducted Swadeshi Dakaitis. Let me write this. Swadeshi Dakaitis. Then, so Hindi word gone into the English dictionary. I hope you all know. Loot is also a Hindi word gone into English dictionary. So Swadeshi Dakaitis is to raise funds for purchasing the arms. To raise funds for purchasing the arms. Then further you mention, after that, already I have mentioned, further you write. Their most important magazine was Yugantar. Yugantar, edited by Barindra Ghosh. Edited by Barindra Ghosh. Then Barindra Ghosh. Then further you mention another very important magazine of Anusilan Samiti was Sandhya Patrika. Edited by Brahma Bandhav Upadhyay. Edited by Brahma Bandhav Upadhyay. So Sandhya Patrika edited by Brahma Bandhav Upadhyay. Then, so this is what is initial information. Now we need to mention about the incidents associated with that, or the activities which were associated with the activities that what they were conducting, that we have mentioned, what they were doing, but some of the incidents or accidents or whatever you say, activities associated with them. So listen, one of the very important thing that they were doing at this point of time, that the members of the Anusilan Samiti, they started a bomb making factory, and this bomb making factory was created in Maniktala. So Maniktala, a place in Calcutta. And in fact, when Britishers got to know about this Maniktala episode, so they imprisoned many of the revolutionaries then, and later on the fate of these revolutionaries would be decided. Another very important episode associated with this Anusilan Samiti, that two of the followers, Prafulla Chaki and Khudiram Bose, they attempted to assassinate the hated British officer Kingsford. So they tried to assassinate hated British officer Kingsford, but what happened, that due to some miscalculation, rather than killing the Kingsford, they killed two British ladies. So when they attacked on the British ladies, in fact, they were not able to see that who was there inside the convoy, and they attacked and these ladies got killed. So at that point of time, Khudiram Bose, particularly this particular Prafulla Chaki, he was so filled of guilt that he shot himself dead. So he shot himself dead, and Khudiram Bose, he was captured by the British officials and he was hanged later on. Moreover, keeping these all activities of the Anusilan Samiti members in the mind, Alipur conspiracy case was launched against the members of the this particular Anusilan Samiti, and in this case only Aurobindo Ghosh was also charge seated. So Aurobindo Ghosh, he was also arrested, charge seated, and at this time Aurobindo's case was defended by C.R. Das, Chittaranjan Das, and after getting absolved from all the charges, Aurobindo decided that he is going to retire from the active politics and he will pursue a life of the spiritualism. And that's how Aurobindo altogether decided to leave the Calcutta, and he would be going to Pondicherry, where he will establish this Auroville city. And if you inquire about this society at this point of time, so it is one of the leading organization in India related to organic farming. So not just the spiritualism, but related to organic farming. That's a different thing. We are not going to write that organic farming, but yes. So he left politics from this point of time. So From a life of an extremist leader, he became a spiritual, he embarked on a spiritual path. So please write incidents associated with Anusilan Samiti. I am not writing full. Likh lena. Incidents associated with the Anusilan Samiti. So you write that they created first phase likh rahe ho. They created a bomb making factory at Madiktalla. Those who are from Calcutta, they must be knowing that where is Maniktalla. There are many tallas in the Calcutta. Mine favorite, I will not say to you. Mine favorite was one bakery in one of the tallas, and the name of the bakery is one of the famous bakeries of the Calcutta, Nahom. Then it's closer to Dharamtalla. But Dharamtalla is famous for some other things also. I hope Calcuttites, not Calcuttites, Bengalites, they know it better. That's their fun. Then, so please write Maniktalla. Then you mention. Second, you write in 1908, Prafulla Chaki and Khudiram Bose. Let me write their names. Prafulla Chaki and Khudiram Bose. Prafulla Chaki and Khudiram Bose made an unsuccessful attempt to kill British officer Kingsford. To kill British officer Kingsford. Then further you mention. But due to some miscalculation, they killed two British ladies. But due to some miscalculation, they killed two British ladies. Full stop. Out of guilt, Prafulla Chaki, Prafulla Chaki sought himself dead. And Khudiram Bose was hanged by British authority. Then you write, change paragraph and then you mention. After this incident, and both the incidents. So after this incident, in 1908, Alipur conspiracy case was filed against the revolutionaries. Then you mention. Which included the arrest of Aurobindo. which included the arrest of Aurobindo, full stop. Then you mentioned he was defended by C.R. Das. He was defended by C.R. Das. Full stop. After getting absolved, full stop, after getting absolved from all the charges, Aurobindo retired from politics. So he left his journey first very ferocious and then after that very calm. So he was like a tsunami. That Aurobindo was like a tsunami. He came like a ferocious wave and then it was all a silent sea. So let's move to the next state, which was also one of the epicenter of the revolutionary activity. In fact, not less than Bengal. So that is the state of the Maharashtra. Let's see that what is happening in the state of Maharashtra. So the very pre-phase wala jo padha tha na, do cheeze, Chapekar brothers and then also Vasudev Govind, Balwant Phadke. So that particular part was the Maharashtra only. So let's talk about that in this very first phase, what is happening in the Maharashtra. So the first person and the organization, I would mention person, ठीक है? Organization बाद में mention करेंगे. Obviously, it would be the V.D. Savarkar. Then, so please write the name of the person from Maharashtra. You can write it as a subheading that in the zone of Maharashtra, what is happening. So you write name of the Vinayak Damodar Savarkar. On that day, there was that question of that brothers, Chapekar brothers, कितने भाई थे, ठीक है? वही सवाल यहाँ पे भी पूछ सकता हूँ मैं. The same question I can ask here, that कितने भाई थे? There were also 3, ठीक है? And all of them were nationalists. Then, but the more popular is the V.D. Savarkar and G.D. Savarkar. Then, so these 2 brothers were more popular, but there was one more brother. So यहाँ पे भी 3 भाई थे, ठीक है? So he, along with his brother G.D. Savarkar, he is going to create Abhinav Bharat. But uske pehle, listen, Vinayak Damodar Savarkar, he created an organization in 1899 only. And name of the organization was the Mitra Mela, which was created in Nasik. The original belief of this organization was the violent overthrow of the British from India. So violent overthrow of the British from India. Moreover, what happened that in 1904, he along with his brother created this revolutionary organization, Abhinav Bharat. Then, so in 1904, it was created just before the Swadesi. Then 1906, the Swadesi has started, and in 1906, V.D. Savarkar got opportunity to study law from the England. Then, so he got opportunity to study law from England, but he did not stop his activity of the revolutionary thing. So when he went over there in England, so the same year in 1906 only, he wrote one such booklet, and name of the booklet was Mazini Charitra. So let me write this word, or so Mazini Charitra. अभी कुछ मत लिखना. Let me write first. So he wrote this article, and within few months, that in very first month itself, the first edition, 2000 copies were sold. Then, so 2000 copies were sold. So it means that it became very popular. Then, so it became very popular. And it became very popular. Moreover, what is this Majani Charitra all about? So I hope you know more than me, okay? Because you have read Majani in your world history classes, in unification of Italy. So if he was quoting, actually one such incident at this point of time, that on one hand, he is quoting Mazini. ठीक है? Mazini. V.D. Savarkar is quoting Mazini. And can you tell me, this is a question, its response screen is all yours, who was quoting Garibaldi? So ये नाम, I hope ये जितने भी बैचेस कंबाइंड है सब में वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री कंप्लीट हो चुका है. तो इटली यूनिफिकेशन में you guys must have read both the characters, Mazzini and Garibaldi. So can you tell that who was quoting Garibaldi at this point of time? Mazzini was quoted by V.D. Savarkar, and who quoted Garibaldi in Indian scenario? So meanwhile you guys write, ठीक है? थोड़ा बहुत लिखो. ये on नहीं है क्या? Let me see. चलो, I will enable it. I don't think that it was disabled. So it is enabled. बकवास मत करना तुम लोग. अच्छा, ओके. एक आंसर आया है एंड आंसर करेक्ट है. ठीक है? सो आंसर इज करेक्ट. यस रवि रंजन, दैट इज द आंसर. चलो बाकी लोग भेजते रहो, कोई मतलब नहीं है, हम आगे लिखते हैं. सो यू राइट दैट विनायक दामोदर सावरकर, वीडी सावरकर, वीडी सावरकर, वीडी सावरकर created Mitra Mela. First you write this organization, created Mitra Mela in 1899 at Nasik. Mitra Mela in 1899 at Nasik. Then further you mention, after that, this organization believed in violent overthrow. This organization believed in violent overthrow of the British rule from India. Violent overthrow of the British rule from India. British rule from India. Then further you mention, in 1904, V.D. Savarkar along with his brother Ganesh Damodar Savarkar, created Abhinav Bharat. Along with his brother Ganesh Damodar Savarkar, created Abhinav Bharat. Then you mention, after that, in 1906, V.D. Savarkar got opportunity to study law from England. Then you mention, in the same year, he wrote Mazzini Charitra. Whose first edition was sold more than 2,000 copies in a month. Whose first edition was sold more than 2,000 copies in a month. Then, now listen. So, related to this organization, while Savarkar is there in the London, and people associated with the Abhinav Bharat, they have started their activities in India. In fact, there was one activity in London also, which I will quote later on. But in both the cases which I'm going to quote, V.D. Savarkar was framed. So what is that? The case which happened in Nasik only. So in Nasik in 1909, there was one Abhinav Bharat member. His name was the Anant Lakshman Kanhare. So Anant Lakshman Kanhare, he assassinated the Nasik magistrate A.M.T. Jackson. So in 1909, Anant Lakshman Kanhare assassinated Nasik magistrate A.M.T. Jackson. So in relation to this particular assassination, later on, Savarkar, both the brothers, they were framed. And both the brothers, they were kept inside the cellular jail Andaman. So cellular jail Andaman, and in fact, the interesting fact related to this, that none of the brothers, they knew that they are lodged in the same jail at the Andaman. So it also gives you, it's also indicative of that how hard the cellular jail was, and that's why it was called as the Kala Pani. Kala Pani ka ek aur reason tha that why it was called as Kala Pani, because one has to cross the deep waters of the Bay of Bengal. And trait of the Bay of Bengal, since it is quite deep, so the water seems little dark. Then, so one such reason that why it was called as Kala Pani, because of the dark waters of the Bay of Bengal. Then, and in another popular connotation, notion of Indian tradition, that this Andaman jail was known as Kala Pani because it seemed like that there could not be any hard imprisonment than the cellular jail. So they were lodged over there. Then one more incident which will happen at this point of time, that was also in 1909, and that happened in London. Then, so there, Madan Lal Dhingra, he sought Curzon Wiley in London. So these were the two cases in which this particular person, V.D. Savarkar, was framed. So he was framed and he was imprisoned. And another thing associated with the V.D. Savarkar, I just want to elaborate a little bit, but I will not go into the controversial things. See, I will tell you what happened, but usse koi aur meaning mat nikalna, theek hai? And it's just one part of the Savarkar's life. He is one of the very debated personality in the Indian scenario, and there are few things associated with him. So first of all, he is the one who gave this Hindu nationalist political ideology of Hindutva. Then, so Hindu nationalist political ideology of Hindutva. See, he is not the first person to use the word Hindutva. Hindutva was used by somebody else, but he is defining it then, and he made it that Hindu nationalist political ideology, Hindutva. And what is this Hindutva? So Hindutva is that Hindu identity as the essence of the Bharat. So Hindu identity as the essence of Bharat. And moreover, he was a very leading figure or very important figure of the Hindu Mahasabha. So he was a leading figure of the Hindu Mahasabha. Now, so one such thing associated with the V.D. Savarkar, listen, likhna nahi abhi sun lo. So he was not a believer in the gods and goddesses. Then he was an atheist. And you can ask a question that if a person was atheist, so how come he is defining this concept of the Hindutva? So to him, Hindu is the way of life. Then to him, Hindu was a culture. Then so he was trying to defend this Hindu culture and the Hindu way of life, but he was atheist in nature. He did not believe in such sort of the gods and goddesses. That's one part. And moreover, another very controversial part of the Savarkar's life is that when Gandhi was shot dead by Nathuram Godse, so Savarkar was actually, though he was framed, and not just, I will not call this word as framed, but it was suspected that there was role of the Savarkar in the killing of the Gandhi. So whatever be the case, then whatever that was there, since देखो कुछ चीजें ऐसी होती है ना, there are few things only that person who has done, that person knows, and judiciary and the investigation and then officials, not everybody has the absolute capacity to establish the truth. And I hope that in the modern times you must have gone through the bone-chilling killing of the Arushi Talwar. You must have read about that, the case, the very infamous case of Delhi, that how she died and then her servant, him, that servant also died, not died, they were killed, and in the that house only their parents were there. Then, so even till this point of time, it is not very clear, though the in the lack of evidences that other person will come and must have killed Arusi Talwar, their parents were lodged in the jail, and looking at their parents, it seemed like that they are innocent. Then, so sometimes it's only the upar wala, he knows that who has done this, and the person knows that what he has done. So you can never establish the truth. Then, so you can never establish the truth. Then, so yes, many cases are there, as you guys can identify that many cases are there that you cannot establish the truth. Then, so here, whatever be the case, we will not go deeper into that, but I will tell you one outcome of this. You must know. So, Savarkar belonged to the Chitpavan Brahmin community. Then, Chitpavan Brahmin community is the same Brahmin community, you know, Godse also belonged to that. And it's the same Brahmin community which was associated with the Peshwas. Then, Balaji Vishwanath, he was Chitpavan Brahmin. Then, and all of them are his progenies only. So Bajirao first, Bajirao two, Nana Sahib, theek hai, jiska bhi naam le lo. So these, that they were the people of the Peshwas race. Then, moreover, after the killing of the Gandhi, you know that people were so angry. Then some people were angry, and you know that as a single person, you may have wisdom, you may have intelligence, but when you are in a crowd, you are without mind. Then when you are in a so crowd has a different kind of psychology, mob psychology, and mob psychology is not at all that it does not operate on the basis of the wisdom, intelligence, practicality. Mob psychology is altogether different. So there was one part that after the death of the Gandhi, that mobs were enraged in that area. And moreover, there is one more thing, that there are many people who have their own interest in advancing the case, and in their own interest, what they do, they enrage the feeling of the people. So, you know, after this episode, you must not be knowing, after the death of the Gandhi, more than thousands of the Chitpavan Brahmins were killed in Maharashtra. And often they were targeted. That next 2-3 years were very difficult for this community, as if that entire community may have decided to kill the Gandhi. Then, and moreover, even if Gandhi would have been alive, or he must have been seeing it from the heavens, so he would have been very angry, and he would have been very agonized that how come that for me, the person who has formally established himself, or that the person who was known for his non-violence, and in his name, violence is happening. Okay? So he must have been quite disgusted, or even if he must have been seeing it from the heavens, he would have been quite disgusted. So this is what happened. It's a topic for you to explore later on after your exam is over, when you are just going to forward your own ideologies or then different aspects of your life. So उस समय पे explore करना, but ये सब पढ़ना चाहिए. I hope that when you are reading history, so just don't limit it to the exam की तैयारी वाली limit कर लो, लेकिन उसके बाद वाली भी history पढ़ लेना, ठीक है? वो भी जरूरत है. So please write. कुछ भी नहीं लिखा है? You write. In 1909, the Nasik magistrate, AMT Jackson, was assassinated by a revolutionary, Anant Lakshman Kanhare. Anant Lakshman Kanhare. Anant Lakshman Kanhare. Then you write after that. In relation to this case, Savarkar brothers Savarkar brothers were arrested Savarkar brothers, in relation to this case, Savarkar brothers were arrested and lodged in cellular jail, Andaman. Lodged in cellular jail, Andaman. And brackets में लिख लेना एक और इसमें, not just this case, but also brackets में लिख लो, but also Curzon Wiley case. Also Curzon Wiley case. So also Curzon Wiley case, and we will talk about the Curzon Wiley. We'll be writing, but बाद में, अभी नहीं. So now you write that Savarkar gave the formal shape. Savarkar, everything you are writing under the Savarkar. You don't need to change the any heading. Savarkar, V.D. Savarkar. And when I'm saying Savarkar, so here that very first person, Veer Damodar Savarkar, Vinayak Damodar Savarkar. Then, so he gave the formal shape to Hindu nationalist political ideology. To Hindu nationalist political ideology of Hindutva. Political ideology of Hindutva. Hindutva. And then further you mention Hindutva, which means Hindu identity, which means Hindu identity as essence of Bharat. Hindu identity as essence of Bharat. Hindu identity as essence of Bharat. And one last information you can write about Savarkar, because iske baad I will not discuss about the Savarkar at any place. Okay? So you mentioned that he was also the leading figure of Hindu Mahasabha. He was also the leading figure of Hindu Mahasabha. So now, Bengal, Maharashtra, let's move to the Delhi. So what is happening in Delhi after this? So what is happening in Delhi? Listen, that there were some of the revolutionary whose target was the highest personality in India. They were not going to settle at a petty British official or unpopular British official. They wanted that if they would be killing somebody, so that person would be none less than the Viceroy himself. And these revolutionaries were Rasbihari Bose and Sachindranath Sanyal. So in 1912, just after that conduct of the Delhi Darbar, so in 1912, Rasbihari Bose and Sachindra Sanyal, they unsuccessfully to kill Viceroy Hardinge. Then, in fact, it is said that Viceroy Hardinge was injured in this attack. Then, though he did not die, but he injured in this attack. So they tried to kill Hardinge, and in this regard, though British authority were not able to arrest Rasbihari Bose or Sachindra Sanyal, but they arrested 4 other revolutionaries associated with this case, and all of them were hanged. So all of them were hanged, and these revolutionaries were Amir Chand, Bal Mukund, Basant, and Awadh Bihari. So they were hanged by the British authority in related to this attack on the Viceroy Hardinge, but the original perpetrator, they were already gone from Delhi, or already not in the notice of the Britishers. In fact, Rasbihari Bose is a person that he was quite a mystical. Then that he, अभी तो नाम सुना है तुमने रासबिहारी बोस का, यहाँ से स्टार्ट हो रहा है. Then you will see that he will be leading the Ghadar movement also, and then again Britishers will not be able to do anything to him. And then again you will listen his name that in 1940s that Subhash Chandra Bose is going to create that Indian National Army, reconstitute Indian National Army. So Ras Bihari Bose is already there in the Singapore, Malaysia, then that in that area, and he is already associated with the INA. So he was that very mischievous revolutionary, and it's a fun fact to learn about him. So you can further explore about the Ras Bihari Bose also. So you write that in 1912, Ras Bihari Bose and Sachindranath Sanyal unsuccessfully attempted to kill Viceroy Lord Hardinge. Attempted to kill Viceroy Lord Hardinge. Not Harding, Hardinge. अच्छा एक चीज ध्यान रखना, we talked about Gandhi episode, Gandhi in South Africa. Then Gandhi in South Africa, and what you wrote in the end of that Gandhi in South Africa, that finally that all the major demands of Gandhi were conceded, and Gandhi was negotiating in the last time with the people like C.F. Andrews, General Smutt, and Viceroy Hardinge. Then, so Viceroy Hardinge, and that negotiation started after this episode. So Viceroy Hardinge got to know that there are people after his life. Let's be little serious and let's be little less extreme. So he was the one who started to become more accommodative when that negotiation was going in the South Africa, and that's how major demands of Gandhi were conceded at that point of time. So khatra yahan se, fayda wahan pe. That's what happened. So you please write that unsuccessfully attempted to kill Viceroy Hardinge. After that you write, in this regard, Delhi conspiracy case, was filed against many revolutionaries. Which led to hanging of Awadh Bihari, Amir Chand, Bal Mukund, and Basant. Awadh Bihari, Amir Chand, Bal Mukund, and Basant. Then, so this is Delhi episode. Then next one, after Delhi, Madras. There is a one word information, I don't need to elaborate, साथ साथ में लिख लो. So you write that Vanchi Iyer assassinated Justice Arce. Then, outside India. तुम पूछ रहे हो इतने नाम कैसे याद रखे. मैं तो ये सोच रहा हूँ, Osama bin Laden, he had 100 children. How he was remembering the name of those 100 children? So, outside India, listen, in 1905, outside India, So in 1905, there is a person, Syamji Krishna Verma. So Syamji Krishna Verma, he created an organization, Bharat Swasasan Samiti, and it was popularly known as the India House. Then it was a house of revolutionaries. Then, so Bharat Swasasan Samiti and House of Revolutionaries known as the India House in London. Now, so this house was also responsible for not responsible, it was releasing a magazine, and name of the magazine was the Indian Sociologist. And this is the organization with which V.D. Savarkar got associated when he was in London. Then, so when he was in London, and moreover, the next person whom we will be talking about in Gadar movement, Lala Hardayal, he was also associated with the India House, then, or Bharat Swasasan Samiti of Syamji Krishna Verma. And associated with this organization, a person named as Madan Lal Dhingra in 1909, he killed Curzon Wiley in London. So in both the cases that Savarkars were framed, Savarkar was associated with Abhinav Bharat, he is associated with that India House then. So दोनों के केस में frame करके he was lodged into the jail. Then, so please write few words about this organization. So you write that in 1905, Syamji Krishna Verma founded Bharat Swasasan Samiti. Bharat Swasasan Samiti, popularly known as India House. Popularly known as India House at London. India House created at London. Then, right? You're right. Ravi Ranjan, I think to do that, what you have asked, you must have belief in yourself. And that's very much possible. That how did he manage to get time for 100 children? Belief in himself. And even if you believe that, it's possible for you also. So let's write that it released a magazine, Indian Sociologist. Indian Sociologist. It released a magazine, Indian Sociologist. Then further you write Indian Sociologist. After full stop you write V.D. Savarkar and Lala Hardayal V.D. Savarkar and Lala Hardayal were also associated with this organization. V.D. Savarkar and Lala Hardayal were also associated with this organization. ठीक है? After that you write in 1909, a revolutionary associated with India House, Madan Lal Dhingra. A revolutionary associated with India House, Madan Lal Dhingra, assassinated Curzon Wiley. Curzon Wiley in London. Curzon Wiley in London. So this is what is about the things associated, not associated, that is happening in the outside India. Abhi kuch baki hai, theek hai? So let's talk about that one of the very important personality who functioned from outside India. and that personality in little elaborate way. So please write, just give me a time, a little bit of time. So एक heading करके लिख लो, Madam Bhikaji Kama. Madam Bhikaji Kama. Then, so listen, that who was she? So Madam Bhikaji Kama, she was a Parsi lady. Then, so she was a Parsi lady, and she was married to a very famous, very rich Parsi lawyer. His name was Rustam Kama. So she was married to Rustam Kama, and Rustam Kama was a pro-British lawyer. Okay? He was a pro-British lawyer, and he has his own aspiration to enter into the politics. Then, so to enter into the politics with the support of the British. So on this note, the personalities of the Madam Bhikaji Kama and the Rustam Kama, they were on opposite ends. Then, so if Rustam Kama was south, so then Bhikaji Kama was north. Such was the difference. And moreover, their married life had no fun. Then their married life had no such place. In their married life, they are married to each other, but they were not at all married at their thought level. Then, so at their mental level, they were not at all married. But yes, you know that many a times in the rich society and then in the affluent society, it is only the marriage of convenience and marriage of dikhava, pomp and show. Then, but otherwise, if you look at the personal life of the people, they even don't sit closer to each other to have a little bit of food. So such was the situation that the pomp and show was there, but they were not living like the husband and wife. Moreover, what happened? So 1896-97, if you remember that episode of the bubonic plague, and that bubonic plague was in the Bombay presidency at that point of time. So Madam Bhikaji Kama at that point of time, she volunteered. Then she volunteered and she joined the medical team of the Grant Medical College. So she joined the Grant Medical College and she started to take care of the afflicted people. So she started to take care of the afflicted people, but unfortunately, just like that many people were doing in this pandemic, so just like that only, she also got afflicted with the bubonic plague. So her situation was also not good, though she recovered, but her situation didn't improve. And just like that, today we are talking about that long-term COVID effects. So she also had that long-term effect of the plague. And since the family was rich, her own mother's place was also rich, her own father was rich, and husband to वैसे ही मतलब दुनिया भर का सोना लेके पैदा हुए थे. So then what happened? They sent her to London. Then they sent her to London to recuperate. While she was recuperating and while she was she regained strength in the London, she got associated with that Syamji Krishna Varma. She also met Syamji Krishna Varma, though she has also met Dadabhai Naoroji in London, but she got associated with that Syamji Krishna Varma's institute, that organization. Then what happened? That when she was associated, so Britishers started to suspect her activities. Then in this regard, what she did, that rather than getting arrested and then all the stuff, so she shifted to Paris at that point of time. So she shifted to Paris, and Paris, you know, that 1905, British and French, they are not the friends then. They are embroiled in war at different level. They are kind of enemies at this point of time. So with this thought, she shifted to Paris, and in Paris she created her own organization which was known as the Paris Indian Society. So Paris Indian Society, and she was helped by two more people, S.R. Rana and M.B. Godrej. So these two people helped Madam Bhikaji Kama to start her activity. So she was doing that, she was continuing her freedom struggle activity from there only. Moreover, she participated in the International Socialist Congress, then so International Socialist Conference at Stuttgart. And that's the place where for the very first time she unfurled the Indian flag. So she unfurled the Indian flag. I'll show you that flag today. ठीक है? So मेरे पास मेरे फोन में flag है. ठीक है? Flag दिखाता हूँ तुम्हें. Let me just connect it with that air server. अगर जो connect हो गया तो देख लेंगे. इंटरनेट स्विच करना पड़ेगा. नहीं, कनेक्ट हो गया. कनेक्ट हो गया. We'll see. Just 1 minute. I'll do that. Let me come up with the flag. नहीं तो पता चला फ्लैग दिखाने के बजाय अपने घर की पिक्चरें दिखाने लगा मैं तुम लोगों को. So, just 1 minute. This was the flag. So this was the flag which Madam Bhikhaji Kama created at that point of time. You can say that first Indian flag created by Madam Bhikhaji Kama. So now you can see that what all colors and what all things are there at this point of time. So green तो वैसे ही है जैसे आजकल हमारे flag में है, and there is no white in this one. Vande Mataram is written. So this Vande Mataram is symbolic of the national song. Swadesi mein this has become the national song. So it has that it is the symbolic of the national song. But this red color part and this green color part and then white lotus and then these two, it has a purpose. So she has a thought process. With that thought process, she created this flag. So what was the meaning of this? You understand. This is that this lunate shape and the shape of the sun, it is indicative of the respect of the all religions in India and the secularism of India. So it is indicative of the secularism of India and it is indicative of the respect to all the faiths in India. Then Vande Mataram is indicative of the national song and it is written in Devanagari. So it is written in Devanagari, as you can see. Moreover, these 8 flags which are there, अब आगे हो सकता है कोई बीजेपी से क्लेम कर ले तो अलग बात है, बट क्लेम नहीं करने देंगे हम लोग, ठीक है, कि भीखाजी कामा ने उनका पार्टी सिंबल बनाया था. नो, दिस 8 flags are indicative of 8 provinces of British India at that point of time. So this is indicative of the 8 provinces of the British India at that point of time. ठीक है. So कुछ लिखे? We must write. लिख ले? चलो. So you write. I hope you have seen the flag. Banana ho to bata dena. I will later on, I will again switch to the flag. But right now, please write few words about Madam Bhikhaji Kama. So you write, she was a lady of, she was a Parsi lady. She was a Parsi lady married to hi Naman, there is a very much possibility. Then, very much possibility. This much only I can say it right now. I will not comment further upon, but I will only say this much. Now listen. So, Parsi lady married to Rustam Kama. Married to Rustam Kama. Rustam Kama, who was a pro-British lawyer. Who was a pro-British lawyer. तुम भी सब ना पगलैट हो सारे के सारे, ठीक है, कुछ दिखाया नहीं, बीजेपी पाकिस्तान और ये सब चालू हो गया. अभी 1 साल कितने महीने हो गए? आई थिंक दैट फॉर सम ऑफ द बैचेस इट्स ऑलमोस्ट 1 year 3 months एंड तुम लोग इसी में लटके पड़े हो. चलो, यू राइट. मैरिड टू रुस्तम कामा, हु वाज अ प्रो ब्रिटिश लॉयर, and aspired to enter into politics. Aspired to enter into politics. Then further you mention, in 1896, bubonic plague spread in Bombay Presidency. In Bombay Presidency. 1896 bubonic plague spread 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 Then further mention in Bombay Presidency. She joined Grant Medical College team. Grant Medical College team. She joined Grant Medical College team to care for the afflicted. To care for the afflicted. To care for the afflicted. Afflicted. But she herself contracted plague. But she herself contracted plague. Herself contracted plague, full stop. Plague. Later, she was sent to Britain for treatment. Later, she was sent to Britain for treatment. Yes, it's at Marine Lines. So in fact, no, that's the name of the station also, Amrita. I think that Grant Road. That's the name of the station. First is the Grant Road, Charni Line, Charni Road, Grant Road, Marine Lines, and then you have Churchgate. So, kaho to pura Western Line, I will write the name of all the stations, that local, Mumbai local. Okay? So I was also quite a local in the Mumbai local. Okay? And very often I was sandwiched. I really understand that what is the meaning of the sandwich. That in the childhood we used to enjoy the sandwich, but I really understood that what is sandwich and what happens to the potato between the two sandwiches. How so you must अब तो नहीं हो सकता because the pandemic. But before the pandemic, if it would have been the normal case, I would have suggested go and have 1 week at least travel in the Mumbai local. So please write. She herself contracted the plague and then she went to Britain for the treatment. You write, in Britain, she came in contact with Shyamji Krishna Verma. Shyamji Krishna Verma. And Satyam, you have written the right station from where I did started and the end station also. So very often I was traveling from Borivali to Churchgate and it was so fun. In fact, all the struggle in the Mumbai local was to get that window seat then and keeping your eyes on that only. How मतलब कैसे रास्ता क्रिएट कर लेना कि अरे पैर में पैर डाल के आगे बढ़ जाओ, ठीक है, बीच में ही खड़े हो जाओ. That was really fun, and keeping your earbuds in your ear and then just looking at the space and how you get that particular seat. So that's really a memory to cherish. छोटी छोटी चीजें. And बड़ी बड़ी चीजों से बहुत खुशियां नहीं आती हैं. But this small happiness are the bouts of the happiness, and then they are the memories which always person cherishes. So you write that later she shifted to Paris. Later, she shifted to Paris, where in 1905, she created Paris Indian Society. She created Paris Indian Society with the help of Paris Indian Society, with the help of S.R. Rana and M.B. Godrej. S.R. Rana and M.B. Godrej. Godrej wala spelling galat ho gaya. That's J. I think now it's right. M.B. Godrej. श्यामजी कृष्ण वर्मा. ठीक है, ऐसे नहीं थे, श्याम भी थे और कृष्ण भी थे और उसके बाद में वर्मा थे. So Lex, you write later at International Socialist Conference. Later at International Socialist Conference Socialist Conference, Madam Bhikhaji Kama, Socialist Conference at Stuttgart. So at Stuttgart, Madam Bhikhaji Kama unfurled the first flag of Indian freedom struggle. First flag of India, first flag of India लिखो, first flag of India. Then, and इसमें क्या लिखोगे? First flag of India, and then you would be writing, yes, first flag of India with Vande Mataram, with words written in the middle, Vande Mataram, oh, it's wrong. With words written in the middle, Vande Mataram, in Devanagari script. With words written in middle, in Devanagari script. So that's what is all about the Madam Bhikhaji Kama. Achha, I just want to ask, since nahi padhaya tum logon ne, but still there is an option to ask this question. Can you tell me that before independence, okay, what was that immediate flag of India? What all things were there in the immediate flag of India before independence? 1947 के पहले, ठीक है? And I will give you hint if you ask for the hint, but something which was there, and I will tell you one such incident related to that. With Devanagari, script was Devanagari. Yes, very good. You guys are right. इसलिए पूछा मैंने ये सवाल. Now listen. चरखा था, ठीक है? So there was Gandhi's charkha. Then there was Gandhi's charkha, and at that point of time, what happened? That when after the independence, the charkha was replaced from the Ashok Chakra. Then so charkha was replaced from the Ashok Chakra, and moreover, when this Ashok Chakra was getting created, so at the time of the independence, the only person, that one of the person, I'll not say only, that is extreme word. So one of the person who was not at all interested in the Independence Day celebration, but in fact, he was not happy at that point of time what was happening. And moreover, he was only interested in the design of the flag, okay? That what must be there in the flag and how it must represent the secular ethos of the country, and the moreover, not the communal divide of the country. So Gandhi was interested in the measure and the dimension and the color and the ethos of the Indian flag rather than Indian Independence Day celebration. To him, he was one of the worst days. And moreover, later on, when you will be studying more about the Gandhi, so Gandhi was touring Naukhali. In fact, most of the massacre at the time of the partition, it not happened on the western side, not happened on the Punjab and this side of the Pakistan, but it happened on the Naukhali area of the Bangladesh. So that side, a hell lot of massacre. ऐसा नहीं है, दोनों जगह पे हो रहा था, but in Naukhali, hell lot of massacre was there. And at that point of time, when Nehru was giving this, Jawaharlal Nehru was giving this very famous speech, Tryst with the Destiny. Then, so tryst in the middle of in the midnight of this hour, and then that speech which has gone into the history, and it has been etched as a golden words in the history. That's a fantastic speech. But at that point of time, when Nehru is elated, Gandhi was so sad, and he's traveling, and then he is just looking that what was happening in the Naukhali, that how Hindus were massacring Muslims and Muslims were massacring Hindus. So that's all about the things which were there at this point of time. Now let's move to the next episode related to this first phase of the culmination of the first phase of the revolutionary nationalism, and the culmination is the Ghadar movement. So the last part of the first phase, the Ghadar movement. So Moon and star. Star नहीं बोलेंगे, that star is the sun. It is indicative of sun. ठीक है? So star वैसे नहीं बनता है. How come you guys are not able to identify? अच्छा एक बार फिर से देख लो. You guys can see it once again. See that flag. Star ऐसे थोड़ी बनाते हैं. पागल हो तुम लोग. Star ऐसे बनाते हैं. Let me create a star. Star ऐसे होता है. बीच में गोल नहीं होता है. Then, so this is the flag. So let's move to the next part. Now I will just switch it off. Give me a minute. हो गया. So please write Gadar movement. हाँ, sun is also. अब इस तरह से तो बहुत सारी बातें हो जाएंगी. Sun is also a star. Star is also a sun. But यहाँ हमारा purpose sun है. ठीक है? वैसे तो मतलब who has written? मैं तो मेरे को जवाब देना है. शुभम. ठीक है? शुभम कुड भी चलो छोड़ो, जाने दो, बुरा मान जाओगे. मैं आगे बढ़ता हूँ. So you write the Gadar movement. वैसे whenever I see this Gadar word, in my memory, see, this is a history. I observed about the Gadar at this point of time, that that what happened when I started reading history, that what is the Gadar movement. Otherwise, in my memory, there was only one Gadar, and that was the movie when it was released, and on the very first day, we were in Delhi only, that Upahar cinema incident, where a hell lot of people were killed in Delhi only. So now, this Gadar movement is from 1913 to 1915. Then, so 1913 to 1915. Let's talk about this Gadar movement. So initially, this Gadar movement is going to initiated by the NRIs, then the people, the Indian people who are living in the western coast of the North America. And both the countries, America, USA, and then Canada, both the places. So it all together started in the western coast of the US and Canada. What were the reasons? So we need to know, we need to find out the reasons for the reasons for the beginning of this Gadar movement. So first of all, listen, no matter whichever part of the world you are living, if that part has the presence of the Britishers, then, or British origin people, so you are supposed to be discriminated. There would be racial discrimination. So though these are the educated Indians and little advanced Indians who are living in the US, but they were also discriminated at that point of time in the US and Canada. So there was a racial discrimination by the so-called British people in these areas, or British race in this area. Moreover, but another thing, there were many benefits also. So one of the benefit was that they got familiar with the American values of freedom and liberty. So in America, they got familiar with the American values of the freedom and liberty. Moreover, that America, right from the beginning, as compared to the rest of the part of the world, it was little more open. So here they got contaminated with the communist and the socialist ideology. So they got contaminated with the communist and socialist ideology. And moreover, that Vancouver in Canada, and particularly the western coast of entire that North America, it was in this area, many organizations were created by the people, and some of the people, they released some of the famous magazines or circulars, which further provided a background for a movement to start. Then, so there are more reasons we will discuss, but first you write few words about this. So you write, mention, it was initiated by NRIs. It was initiated by NRIs, especially in Canada and western coast of the US. Especially in Canada and western coast of US. Western coast of US. So then you write reasons, that why it all started from there. So reasons, a subheading, you are writing reasons, and the number one reason. racial discrimination with Indians. Reason number 1, racial discrimination with Indians. Racial discrimination with Indians. Second, familiarity of NRIs with American value, familiarity of NRIs with American value of freedom and liberty. American values of freedom and liberty. Freedom and liberty. Full stop. Freedom and liberty. Third, contamination with communist and third, I will also keep on writing numbers third. So contamination with communist and socialist ideology. Communist and socialist ideology. Then you write fourth. In the western coast of North America, many organizations came up to voice against British authority. Which are to voice against British authority. So there are two organizations which I'm writing right now. So एक तीसरा भी है, but वो organization last में लिखेंगे, ठीक है? So first you write that स्वदेश सेवक. This is name of organization. स्वदेश सेवक, created at Vancouver in Canada, and the founder was G.D. Kumar. So Swadesh Sevak at Vancouver, founded by G.D. Kumar. Then the second organization was United India House at Seattle, and then founded by Tarak Nath and G.D. Kumar. Founded by Tarak Nath and G.D. Kumar. Then not only the organizations were there, but also many of these personalities, they released the newspapers and the circulars to voice against the British. Then, so you can write it as a fifth statement. So fifth statement you write that many newspaper and circulars also played important role. Many newspapers and circulars also played important role. For example, Free Hindustan. Released by Tarak Nath. Free Hindustan, released by Tarak Nath, and Circular A Azadi, Circular-e-Azadi, released by Ramnath Puri. Released by Ramnath Puri. Ramnath Puri. Then, so this is point number 5, that why it all started, Gadar movement, what are the background of the Gadar movement. Now let's come to the one of the most important point, and that is the organization which is going to get created by the Lala Hardayal and then many other people. So that is the organization known as the Portland Hindi Association, or Hindi Association of the Portland. So listen, the next statement, I'm writing the number here क्योंकि बाद में भूल न जाए. So listen, during the World War I, Portland and San Francisco, these two places in US, they became the center of the revolutionary activity. So during the World War I, Portland and San Francisco, they became the center of the revolutionary activity. And here only in 1913 in Portland, Lala Hardayal, he set up Hindi Association of Portland. So Hindi Association of Portland. And then the very first meeting of this Hindi Association, since it is a revolutionary, so it happens in the secret way. So the very first meeting happened at the house of Kasiram, and the important members who joined at this point of time, who attended this meeting, so they were Lala Hardayal to honge hi, because he is the founder, and then Kasiram jiska ghar hai to wo to hoga hi, but uske alawa. So apart from the Kasiram, Harnam Singh Tundilat, Sohan Singh Bhakna, okay? Sohan Singh Bhakna, and then this Bhai Parmanand. Then, so these three people also joined this organization at this point of time. Moreover, this organization, Lala Hardayal, who was the founder, so earlier, listen, in this point only we will be writing everything. So, baad mein puchna nahi. So, Lala Hardayal, earlier, he issued a Yugantar circular. Yugantar, if you remember, Yugantar was the main patrika of the Anusilan Samiti. So he issued a Yugantar circular, and in that Yugantar circular, the praise on Lord Hardinge, the attack on Lord Hardinge was praised. So he is also praising that attack in the US by releasing this circular in US also. That's one thing. Then he also decided that he would be establishing one Yugantar Ashram in San Francisco. So Yugantar Ashram in San Francisco, and moreover, this organization decided to launch a weekly newspaper, and the name of the weekly newspaper was The Gadar. So this movement is named after this weekly newspaper, The Gadar. Then, so they released this weekly newspaper. In fact, it was a question, I think, in 2014. And what they asked in the question, that what is the nature, what was the nature of this particular Gadar? So what was the nature of the Gadar? And it was written monthly, daily, weekly, yearly. So you needed to identify that it was a weekly newspaper. So this is what he did. Moreover, one more thing that we will be writing in the continuation. Let me explain. So in one of the Gadar edition, Lala Hardayal wrote a very popular article, and that article, let me write on the board. So name of the article was Angrezi राज का कच्चा चिट्ठा. So this is what was the name of the article, Angrezi Raj ka Kacha Chittha, and 14 points he mentioned in this one to highlight the exploitative phase of the British rule. So to highlight the exploitation or exploitative phase of the British rule. Okay? So please write for the next 4-5 minutes. You write, during World War I, Portland and San Francisco, Portland and San Francisco Portland and San Francisco because US was not a communist and socialist. ठीक है? US was not communist and socialist. Portland and San Francisco became the center of revolutionary activity. Became the center of revolutionary activity. Then further you write, in 1913, Lala Hardayal set up Hindi Association of Portland. Lala Hardayal set up Hindi Association of Portland. Lala Hardayal set up Hindi Association of Portland. Then you write, the first meeting of this organization was held at House of काशीराम. बसपा वाले नहीं, ये कोई पुराने वाले होंगे, ठीक है? So House of काशीराम. Let me write these all name. फिर उसके बाद लिखो, and it was attended by भाई परमानंद. और कहाँ जगह बचा है? Let's see. So भाई परमानंद, and then हरनाम सिंह तुंडिलात, and सोहन सिंह भकना. हरनाम सिंह तुंडिलात. नाम से ही रेवोल्यूशनरी लग रहा है. अच्छा है. सो सोहन सिंह भकना. मुझे तो लगा तुम लोग बोले कि नाम से ही टेररिस्ट लग रहा है. सो सोहन सिंह भकना. देन यू राइट, change paragraph and then you mention, earlier Lala Hardayal issued a Yugantar circular. Earlier Lala Hardayal issued a Yugantar circular praising attack on Viceroy Hardinge. Praising attack on Viceroy Hardinge. Viceroy Hardinge. Then Hindi Association decided to start a weekly newspaper Gadar. Then further you write, weekly newspaper Gadar. They also decided to establish a Yugantar ashram in San Francisco. Yugantar ashram in San Francisco. Then further you mention after that, the last line, you write this part. So you write, in one of the edition of the Gadar, in one of the edition of the Gadar, Lala Hardayal published a popular article. Lala Hardayal published a popular article. You write this, Angrezi Raj ka kacha chitta, because this is what you need to remember. There is no requirement of the translation. Okay? So Angrezi Raj ka kacha chitta. Kacha chitta. Then further you mention in which he highlighted the exploitative nature and real intention of British rule in India. Exploitative nature and real intention of British in India in 14 points. 14 points. So this is what is associated with the Gadar. Then now, so how the movement is going to start in India also, and then it will just add some color to the movement. Then, so the one final incident, I think, ye number kitna tha? What number we have written? 6. So the reason number 7, please mention. So I'll move to the next page or isi mein. Reason number 7. And this place you write, Koma Gata Maru incident. Koma Gata Maru incident. Listen, what was this Koma Gata Maru incident? So this Koma Gata Maru incident, basically what happened, that the Canadian authorities issued an order then. So the Canadian authorities issued an order whereby they allowed some Indians that they can visit Canada. So they can visit Canada. So as per the orders were given, so many Indians got readied for visiting Canada. Then, and you know that there are some section in the Indian society which has a hell lot of love for the Canada. Then I hope you know. And they are the one who formed the major chunk of the ship which was going to the Canada. So a large number of the Punjabi people, then they that prepared themselves for this journey, and this ship which was commissioned for the purpose, the name of the ship was the Koma Gata Maru. So these all people, good number of people, they started their journey from India to Canada, and once they reached over there at the coast of Vancouver, then in Canada, so the officials over there, they did not allow a single Indian to disembark from the ship. So they did not allow a single Indian to disembark from the ship, and moreover, after some point of time, they said that this ship must return to the India. No Indian would be allowed to disembark. Obviously, you can just sense the frustration of the people. And at that point of time, the sea journeys were not easy. Then it took months and months start from one place and to reach a different, altogether different place, and that too in North America. So they were quite frustrated, these all Indians. And once this ship, it reached to India at the coast of Bajbaj near Calcutta. When these Indians were disembarking from the ship, they clashed with the British authorities, and in this clash, what happened, that British authority ordered to launch attack on them, counter attack on them, and a large number of Punjabi population was massacred. So it enraged the feeling of the people of the North India, then particularly North India, and moreover, one more very popular leader in the Punjab, his name was Kartar Singh Sarabha. He was hanged by the British in a separate case. Then, so in a separate case, he was hanged by the British authority, And this all enraged the feelings of the people, and in India, the people started the Gadar movement. And you know who was the leader in India? Ras Bihari Bose. He is appearing at this place. कि तुम लोग तैयारी करो मैं आ रहा हूं. Then types. So please write Komagata Maru incident. That you write Canadian authorities in 1913 issued an order in 1913 issued an order whereby some Indians were allowed to visit Canada. Whereby some Indians were allowed to visit Canada. Then you write, for this purpose, a ship named Komagata Maru. A ship named Komagata Maru was commissioned. A ship named Komagata Maru was commissioned. Then you write, when the ship reached to the coast of Vancouver, when the ship reached to the coast of Vancouver, Indians were not allowed to disembark. Indians were not allowed to disembark from the ship. Indians were not allowed to disembark from the ship. And then you write, and they were forced to return to India. And they were forced to return to India. They were forced to return to India. Then return to India. Finally, when the ship reached to the coast of Bajbaj, near Calcutta. Coast of Bajbaj near Calcutta. They clashed with Britishers. They clashed with Britishers, which led to large scale massacre for Punjabi population. Coast of Bajbaj. It is written over here. You can see. Please write. Large scale massacre of Punjabi population. Full stop. You write. Moreover, a revolutionary named as Kartar Singh Sarabha was hanged by Britishers in a conspiracy case. Which also enraged the feelings of, which also enraged the feelings of Punjabi population. Punjabi population. Full stop. Vancouver, earlier one. Punjabi population. Then further you write, in this scenario, Sikh decided to revolt under the leadership of Ras Bihari Bose. Under the leadership of Ras Bihari Bose. So this is what is about how it all started. Now we need to talk about the activities of the Gaddarites, that some of the highlighting activities. Then we will talk about that, some of the weaknesses and the contribution. Okay? So break time, chai time, 10 minutes, and then we will complete the Gaddar and we will start Home Rule movement. Pura to nahi hoga, but we will start Home Rule movement. So let's begin with the activities of the Gaddarites. So please write. Just 1 minute. So write a heading, activities of Gaddarites. Now listen, what were the activities? So some of the things and some of the activities are quite generic. You yourself can predict, but we will be writing. So they tried to spread the anti-British sentiment and unite the people of India against the British. So that's the generic one, that they are trying to spread the anti-British sentiment and unite the people of India. Then they incited the Indian army to revolt against the British. They are taking inspiration from the 1857 revolt, which altogether started from the Indian army only, that British Indian army, sepoys revolted. So they believed that this time also, if they are inspired enough, motivated enough, so they can also incite the Indian army to revolt. Moreover, they also enlisted the help of Germany in this regard. World War I has started, and Britain and France, they are on one side then. So they are on one side, and then after on the other side is the Germany. So Germany assured them that they will be helping. Then another thing which happened in this duration, with the help of the Gaddarites in Afghanistan, and the same Afghanistan. In Afghanistan, Raja Mahendra Pratap Singh and Barkatullah, they formed a temporary provincial government of Afghanistan. So temporary, not permanent, temporary provincial government of Afghanistan. So if world has gone 2-3 years back due to the pandemic, so now Afghanistan has gone 30 years back with the Taliban coming to power. And moreover, the world will advance after the pandemic would be over, year by year, and Afghanistan will go down 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, when the world is advancing. It's very unfortunate that what has happened. And who is to be blamed? It's the world community to ask. And the most important, the most pertinent question for US to ask, that what they did. So please write, they tried to spread anti-British sentiment. They tried to spread anti-British sentiment and unite people of India against British. Unite people of India against British. Then further you mention, they incited Indian army to revolt. They incited Indian army to revolt. They incited Indian army to revolt. Third, they enlisted help of Germany. They enlisted help of Germany, which was reflected in Zimmermann plan. You don't need to know what is this plan. I hope you all have studied in the world history. Yeah, he was one authority in the, I think he was prime minister. मुझे exactly position नहीं याद है, but he was one authority in the Germany, and then he created that Zimmermann plan with regard to the World War I from the side of the Germany, and in this plan, help to the Indian Gatherites was also mentioned. So that's the meaning of this. So, which was reflected in Zimmermann plan. Then you write, with the support of Gatherites, with the support of, oh, पढ़ चुके हो तुम लोग, सही है? With the support of Gatherites in Afghanistan, Raja Mahendra Pratap and Barkat Ullah, Raja Mahendra Pratap and Barkat Ullah formed temporary provincial government. It's all written over here. Formed temporary provincial government. That's about some activities of the Gatherites. Now, please write the weaknesses of the Ghadar movement, and then we'll talk about the contribution of the Ghadar movement. So please mention as a heading. I think video थोड़ा पीछे जाता है क्या तुम लोगों में? That everything I do write on the board and you ask for the spelling, it means that there is a lag in the video and the sound. This is what I am able to figure out. I hope I'm right. So please mention weakness of the Ghadar movement. Weaknesses of the Ghadar movement as a subheading. Weaknesses of the Ghadar movement. So now, it had many flaws. So first flaw was at the level of the organization. It's happening in the North America, it's happening in the India also. Okay? So it started from North America and it's happened at India also. So organization exists kahan kar raha hai? Where the organization existing? Is it existing in the Atlantic Ocean or is it existing in the Pacific Ocean? So there was a organizational flaw. Then another thing, ideology. See that anything which is based on a violent ideology, it could be successful for a shorter period of time, but it could not be successful for the longer period of time. So there is a flaw at the ideology. Then strategy and tactics, they are also not good. And moreover, sabse badi parishani, the biggest problem is the financial crisis. Then that financial problem, that how they are going to get the finances, that's one problem. And moreover, they also underestimated the extent of the preparation. So they also underestimated the extent of preparation by the British. That they are considering कि हम मारेंगे और वो छोड़ देंगे, ठीक है? That we will try to kill them and they will just आओ भाई आओ कहाँ थे, ठीक है? लाओ गला काट लो मेरा. This will not happen, ठीक है? So if you kill them, what happened in the 1857 revolt, that if Nana Sahib incited some kind of violence, so Britishers doubled the violence and doubled the extremity. So that is what you are underestimating the extent of British preparation. You can never underestimate. And moreover, Lala Hardayal created the very first, so 2 minute ka lag hai. So Lala Hardayal created the very first or initial strategy which completely failed. which completely failed, and one big problem that the Gadar movement didn't had sustained and effective leadership. So sustained and effective leadership was not at all there. Please write few words. Gadar movement had many flaws. Gadar movement had many flaws. Gadar movement had many flaws. At the level of organization, ideology, at the level of organization, ideology, strategy and finances. Strategy and finances. Then you write strategy and finances. They also underestimated the extent of preparation by the Britishers. The extent of preparation by the Britishers. And then you write the initial strategy was created by Lala Hardayal. The initial strategy was created by Lala Hardayal, which was not at all successful. Then which was not at all successful. Then you mention in the later phase, the movement failed to generate sustained and effective leadership. Sustained and effective leadership. So whatever you guys have read at some place, whenever you are quoting any such example, you just need to write that also. That ये मैंने पढ़ा है, यहाँ से पढ़ा है. What I will figure out that you have read Subham at some place, then, but I will figure out that you have read it at Honolulu, then. So how come, or Hawaii Island? So how come I will get to know that ये हवाई है या फिर then सच में लिखाई है? So जहाँ लिखाई है वो भी तो भेज दो मुझे, मैं भी तो देख लूँ ये वाली बात. Then, so let's come back to this part, contribution of the Gadar movement. Contribution of Gadar movement. So contribution of the Gadar movement. Here also some generic contributions would be there. And what is the generic contribution? First of all, it will lead to the spread of nationalism and unity among NRIs. Then, so यहाँ पे we are quoting that unity among NRIs. Then you write that, then we can mention that it popularized the socialist, democratic and secular views in India. So it popularized the secular and democratic and socialist views in India. But the most important contribution, listen, the most important contribution of this Gadar movement is the freedom of India. It became a very important topic of debate and discussion on international level. So it became very important topic for debate and discussion at international level. Then, so please write these few. So you write, mention, it led to spread of nationalism. and unity, and unity, spirit of nationalism and unity among NRIs, unity among NRIs, full stop. It popularized, next one, it led to spread of nationalism and unity among NRIs, full stop. Second, it popularized socialist, socialist, democratic and secular views in India, and secular views in India, secular views in India. Then you mention on international level, freedom of India became, on international level, freedom of India became an important topic for discussion, important topic of discussion. Important topic of discussion. So this is what is all about the Gadar movement.